Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are going to have a great show for you tonight. Ron James from MUFON is here. He's got a new film project coming out in June. We're going to talk all sorts of UFOs tonight, so get ready. It's going to be a great show. In hour number 3, we're going to have Swamp Dweller. We're going to have Grant Baker and Christian McLeod in hour 3 when it comes to investigating the beast of Bray Road. He's there right now. So we'll talk to them way in hour number 3. But first, we got to say hello to each and every one of you because we love it when you are here, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, Kitty Caddywhack with a silver, Eternity Eternal with a bronze medal tonight. We have up next, Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show like this nice and smooth. You want to be lubed up. Mel, thank you. Don't forget to give yourself another little shot. We'd appreciate it. T-Bone, my man, how you doing? And Race Fan, Robert Lamoth, good to have you both here. Necessary Dialogue, Shane Gord, and Road Flare again, good to have you here. Mama Catherine, mwah, I love you, my dear. I hope you're having a great night. As you can see, it's playoff time. I got my playoff beard going, my Oilers jersey on, and we're down 3-2 after 2 periods. That sucks, but that's okay. Lots of hockey left. Moving on down. We got to find somebody who's going to sign autographs tonight. Beach Hockey, how you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat. And who is next on our list? Frankie B is here. Frankie B will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Mickey G, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, good to have you here. Hi there, Thunderhead. Nice to have you here. As we continue on with our roll call right now, Kitty Caddywhack, thank you for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Thomas Rock, how are you? Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Digiatic, welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining us. Stargazer, nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call. There's Lisa Smith. Nice to have you here. Undead Jed, Carol Amario, and JSCO. Nice to have you all here. Edwin Guerra is here. Edwin will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Hi there, Nikki Cook. Good morning to you. Ninja, nice to see you here. As we scroll on down to say hello to D. Henderson, looking lovely tonight. Jose Sanchez and Gary J., how you doing? Looking good. How you doing tonight, Tina? Thank you for joining us. As we say hello next to Cody Eiler and Caged on the Inside. Joe Ferreira, how you doing in Brazil? Thank you for joining us. It's been a while. Good to have you here. And who is next on our list? Well, there's Luscious Jules and Ozzy Ange. Matthew Goodka, nice to see you. As we scroll on down next, and where'd T-Bone? I thought I saw something there, or JSCO right there. Thank you, JSCO. I appreciate that super chat. We really do. We really do. Thank you very much, my man. All right. Integrationing. Nice to have you here. Whistling Mike, Good to have you as well. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us in as we prepare for Ron James from MUFON. He is a documentarian, a UFO researcher, one of the good guys in this field. So we're going to have a good time with him the next couple of hours. But first, we got to finish up with our roll call on YouTube. Skip to Malou, good morning to you over in Denmark. Thank you for tuning us in. I love how international we are. It's absolutely amazing. Want to remind everybody, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And thank you, Ninja, for that super chat. We greatly appreciate it. Also, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on up. It is that time of the night in about 10 seconds where I'm going to ask you something, just a little bit of a favor. Just a little bit of a favor, if you don't mind. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin knows. We're together, friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Get your tickets for September 18th through 20th right here in the heart of the Caribou region of British Columbia. Go to cariboucon.com and get your VIP tickets today. We are going to go deep into the UFO story tonight from MUFON. Ron James is here. He's a documentarian, he's a researcher, and he's a great guy in this field. You want to get to know Ron and watch and support what he does. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us with a spooky story. Follow that up with Grant Baker joining us for the UFO report. Christian McLeod is going to give us an investigation report from Bray Road in Wisconsin. And if you don't know what that's about, well, you got to tune in to find out. Let's get right to it tonight because I'm excited about this show. Ron James is an award-winning filmmaker, on-camera personality, writer, editor, researcher, content creator, and entrepreneur. His 2023 documentary, Accidental Truth, UFO Revelations, narrated by Matthew Modine, won 28 Film Festival Awards and was mentioned by name at the beginning of the July 2023 UAP congressional hearings by U.S. Representative Tim Burchett. That film has been called one of the most important UFO documentaries of all time, as it lays out both the case and the truth behind the headlines that the film seems to protect. Now, Ron is a big man when it comes to not only making UFO documentaries, but also his role in MUFON. He is the co-founder of MUFON Television, an online television channel boasting the world's largest collection of commercial-free UFO-related material. He also holds the title of Media Relations Director for MUFON. And you know me, I am a big fan of MUFON. I'm a big fan of Ron James, so let's bring him on in. Ron, it's good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, my friend?
Good. It looks like I might be a little out of focus.
Oh, you might be, but our radio audience sees you just fine. Just fine.
Let me see what's going on with that.
It's been a while since we've had you on the show, my friend. How you been doing?
Been doing really well. I don't know why this camera's doing this though.
Oh, that's okay.
That's
That's
pretty
okay.
weird.
The last
We
time
had it. We had it so perfect just a minute ago.
I know. It's the aliens, my friend. It's the
Look,
aliens.
there's been so much interference hitting me lately with the new film coming out and the walls were breaking down that nothing surprises me. But sitting here a blurry blob on your show, this is a new one. Haven't seen this yet. I'm sorry, audience. We'll see what we can do here.
We'll get that part figured out. Ron, for people who may not be familiar with your work, what's got you so invested in the UFO story?
Well, here we go. I think we got it fixed. Dave, I've always been like somebody who was curious about the topic even before I got involved. But one year I owned I still own a video production business, and Steve Bassett came through Sedona, and I was living in Sedona, Arizona at the time. And when he found out that I did this kind of work, he asked me if I wanted to produce his X conferences. And so that was like 2007, 2008. And I said, yeah, sure. So I went to Washington, D.C., and we did. And, I brought my film crew, and we filmed and live streamed 2008 X conference and all the ones forward. And it was then that I got to meet all these people that I'd seen on television. I mean, I look up and there's Stanton Friedman, and here's Nick Pope, and here's Richard Dolan. And these are all guys that I knew who they were. I never thought I'd be hanging out with them. And, after that weekend, I realized that we're dealing with the biggest deception ever put forth on humanity. And as a filmmaker and as a creative person, I always wanted to make content that had some kind of meaning and did something to further human advancement. I've had plenty of opportunities when I go and work for, like, Discovery Channel used to come to town. You get hired to carry their gear through a hurricane, and that there just wasn't that much fun to that. So I started working in this field, covering life after death, UFO questions, and the whole nature of reality. And what I didn't realize at the time was that it seems like three completely different topics, but they're not.
The UFO story has blown up. I'm not sure if it's for the good. I'm not sure if it's for the better, but here we are. We're in the middle of a crap storm right now, Ron, and I don't know which way is up anymore. That's tough for me to say, because usually I have a good peg on what direction I'm heading. When you look at the UFO story, how it's changed since you got in 2007 to where it is today, are we better off? Are we more informed?
It's interesting, Dave. We've been looking toward this political process with great hope. And, I came to the conclusion, and I share it in the new film, after working inside and out in Washington, D.C. The sad thing is, yes, we're going to get some form of disclosure. We're getting it. But is it going to be the truth that really lays out the whole story for humanity coming through official sources? Absolutely not. I'm in the camp that says 2017 was the beginning of the rollout, and that rollout was a new narrative that the people that have been managing this information for as long as it's been a secret want us to know. And they don't want us to know anything, but they know that at some point it's going to be impossible to hide. So they've created this whole narrative, and there's people that are supporting it. And, it's basically what we get through official channels is going to absolve all the people from the past that have done horrible things in keeping this secret. It's going to protect a lot of people legally. It's not going to give us the entire truth about reverse engineering programs and technology and materials. We're just not going to get that. And so as I see this unfolding, and, we're only a day away from the next bombshell, it's like I'm just not sure that I buy it. In the new film, there's literally a section where it cuts to a record player, and the record breaks on camera, and I come back on. I'm like, Washington is sounding like a broken record. And it's a little bit of a joke in the film, but it's really what's going on. The show that we're getting now is the same thing that got laid out by General Samford and the Robertson panel, and all this stuff happened before. And now it's happening again. And it's been almost a decade, Dave, since Lou Elizondo popped on a stage. And have we really gotten any more definitive information from that process? No. We've gotten a lot of speculation. We got David Grush. We got all these people that are whistleblowers. But at the end of the day, we still don't have a picture of a craft sitting in a government lab, and who knows how long we're going to have to wait for that, if ever.
It really is turned into a real metaphor for the unknown. And that unknown is we are still right where we are. We don't know. That's the only answer that really has our saving grace for anything. When I'm interviewed about UFOs, they always ask me, do you think this is it? Do you think this is disclosure? We don't know. We don't know. And I could tell you, I don't know whether disclosure is good anymore or not. I remember Steve Bassett, a good friend of yours and of this show, saying a number of years ago, before Lou Elizondo came out, he's like, if we could just get one guy on the inside, he always put his finger up, bony finger, one guy on the inside, it's going to blow this story wide open. And to all intents and purposes, it has, but I'm not sure it's been for the betterment of the public or for what MUFON does or for the everyday experiencer who, has their challenges with this topic. Do you think this is healthy, what we see? Because you come from the ufology school. I come from the ufology school. The uapology school seems a lot different, my friend.
Yeah. Well, that's a question with a lot of facets. As far as what MUFON does, they kind of took over as a civilian group that kind of tried to assume Project Blue Book's role when that got dissolved. And for 57 years now, they put thousands of boots on the ground all over the world investigating worthwhile cases. And, it's always lights in the sky or some kind of event that was witnessed in that manner. And that's been the core of the civilian exploration on a worldwide basis. And, now the experiencers are having their day. And I have said all along, it's about time for this because we can only get so far with the nuts and bolts explanations. And I see somebody in the chat just mentioned Carl Nell. Carl Nell is one of the first people to come out that I know of from his group and say the explanation is going to have to be, you're going to have to take the esoteric into consideration. And so, that's why we're only going to get so much out of Washington, D.C. For one thing, they're not going to go out and, like J.D. Vance was on TV saying, oh, I think it's demons. And I'm just like, we run into that so many times as all these people with their very hard focused opinions about what this is. And we've got to take a deep breath and realize that it's a lot of things all combined into a lot of different ways that they manifest.
In your opinion,
all that, I don't even know if I answered your question. I hope I did.
I think you did. In your opinion, though, what is a UFO? In today's society, where everybody is UAP this, UAP that, what is a UFO?
Well, I mean, you come down to the traditional definition, which is an unidentified flying object. And I think a UFO is still that. But the reason that they embraced the phrase UAP, and even that changed, it was, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and now it's unidentified anomalous phenomenon. And what people don't know about UAP is that Kenneth Arnold was actually one of the first people to use that phrase when he had his sighting back in the 50s. And so UAP is nothing new, but we have to get way past this stuff. It's like 5 people can look up in the sky, and this is a documented thing. And one of them can see a flying saucer, another one will see a seagull. And an experiencer can see things in a completely different light in a room full of people that don't see what he saw. So the phrases that we have to describe this phenomenon are obsolete almost as fast as they're created.
What about all the hype, Ron, that, Donald Trump is going to release the files, is forcing them to release the files? We see the government picking up, websites, aliens.gov and alien.gov, and they seem to be getting closer to interacting with something there. What do you think? Do you think a game is being played on the political level that's just going to be a big tease for many of us?
It's going to be a low payoff disclosure. I've already, Representative Luna has kind of hinted to it. These guys are continue to say they don't know. They're going to show us some videos that are just probably that these could drop any time. But it's all going to be, yeah, we don't know what this is. But the truth is that they have a pretty damn good idea what it is, and they're not going to tell us that.
If you were to say there was a video out there that could solve all of this, which one would you say it is?
I don't think it's anything that's made it into the mainstream. I mean, if you look at what we've really gotten from any credible sources or not credible, we got these 3 videos that are still being debated today, the Tic Tac and the Go Fast and all that stuff from Elizondo in 2017. And in the meantime, we've had fake UFO pictures held up by Lou. We had one held up by me by accident. And I don't think there's any videos out there that definitively prove anything, unfortunately. And even if we get one at this point, what is it exactly going to prove? Because for every person that wants to jump on board with supporting what a video could reveal, there's other people that are like, oh, that's AI. Oh, that's fake. There's just no way that a video now is going to change the course of the field. It's going to take public access to a nuts and bolts craft that, delegations from the public, like a group from MUFON, is taken to the lab and gets to see this thing. And that way we can testify to the world that it exists. And we're never getting that from these guys.
What about the Holloman Air Force Base video? If that was released, would that do it? Would that be the one?
Well, there's pieces of the Holloman Air Force Base video that are supposedly out there. It just shows a big thing descending, right? If that video was released in its actual natural state and we could see the whole thing, because supposedly that whole video is pretty it covers the whole event, and there would be ways to test the film and authenticate it. That would be awesome. And video from Roswell, somebody there had a movie camera. You don't have that many military somewhere, so there is stuff out there. Michael Schratt and I are working on a Leonard Stringfield documentary, and we've recreated a lot of his cases, which are really the legacy program. So yeah, if you're asking me what video is in the vernacular already that proves something, I would say none. If you're asking me if I think there's video out there that would definitively reshape the conversation, yeah, absolutely. I sure wish we could get it. James Fox has been trying for years to, supposedly there's video of this thing down in Brazil that he did Making Contact about. Supposedly it was filmed. He's been trying to get it. He spent tons of time and tons of money working that whole crowd down there, trying to get access to that film. He still hasn't.
If you were to say that disclosure, it's a giant word that I think is overused. Would you say that you're in favor of a soft disclosure, or would you say maybe you're in for a confirmation? What do you think is the safe bet? Because with the secrets involved under the UAP banner, which also includes a lot of hidden technology that's flying out of places like Wright-Patterson or Area 51 or places like that, do you think that it is more about not giving up our technology of the future than it is about UFOs?
That's an element of it, Dave. And, none of us can be sure their ultimate reason for secrecy, but I think it's a combination of things. It's the fact that a lot of really bad things have been done by these people to maintain this secrecy. There's a lot of technology that they either want to patent or don't want to share. Can you imagine? And Dr. Greer talks about this all the time. Can you imagine if we had a little box you could put in your garage that'll power your house and charge your car? The entire infrastructure of the ruling class of this planet gets put on its head. And, right there is a serious motivation to keep this stuff a secret until, they're going to burn up the last drop of oil before they ever come out with free energy. So there's all kinds of elements to it. And then, people say, well, we are ready for the truth. We can handle the truth. I'm not convinced that we can. I think that there's an existential element to this that people just really don't need to digest, and that maybe they're better off not knowing.
Well, let's go into that. We got 4.5 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. Ron James from MUFON is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. What is that element of that the public isn't ready?
Well, I mean, it boils down to the whole nature of our existence. What is reality? Are we living in a simulation? What is AI? Is it something we created, or is it ultimately a predominant force in the universe that is coming for us? What is our true role in this galactic pecking order just within the simulation? And you cannot talk about the UAP topic anymore and get to the truth about what it's revealing to humanity without having to re-examine everything we think we know about who we are, why we're here, and what we are. And I don't think people are ready for that.
How big will this story get if even a tenth of it comes out?
Well, it's a total transformation of humanity, for better or for worse. I mean, we're already dealing with the AI revolution that is going to transfer everything that we think we know. And in the new film, we talk about simulation theory. This is a real thing. The people could say, "Oh, I'm not living in a computer," and it's not really like that. This physical reality that we live in is created from energy and computational algorithms. And that's just the way it is. If you're a spiritual being having a human experience, there has to be a mechanism for you to have that human experience. And that mechanism is to enter into the simulation, which will create a physical world around your basic core energy. So we have to understand that consciousness is fundamental. It's the only constant in the universe. Everything physical, everything else springs forth from consciousness in some way. And there's a lot of other types of life that exist within the conscious field, and I think there's a few that exist within the just within the matrix itself, and they're the ones that we really need to be worried about.
What about ET contact? Where does that fall in?
Well, I think we've had ET contact of some form. I can't speak for MUFON and some of my own personal takes, but one of my personal takes is it does make sense that there is probably a federation of spacefaring races. It only stands to reason with the age of the universe. And, let's do a little thought experiment about this. If the universe is as old as we believe it is, and life is as prevalent as we've discovered it even here on Earth, and now we have, NASA confirming life on Mars, then it stands to reason that other beings and other races have developed, and that their technology, some of them, is way beyond ours, and that they've created the ability to traverse wormholes and to do all these things. So now if you take this group, this collection of galactic species, then their technology has given them enough destructive firepower to wipe each other out and destroy the universe. So somehow or another, these beings that have that have ascended to a spacefaring level have also managed to have an uneasy truce between themselves, because they could be vastly different. They can have vastly different motivations. They can be vastly different species. But in order to coexist in a non-destructive manner, there has to be some kind of affiliation. Otherwise, the whole universe would just be a warmongering, it'd be as bad up there as it is down here. And so I don't think that's the case. I think that there is some sort of a galactic federation. I think that there is some sort of potential destiny for planet Earth. I think that our species we developed to a certain point, and we showed a certain spark where perhaps we were a slave race at one time. Perhaps we were this, perhaps we were that. But we evolved to the point where we earned the right to self-determine. And what that means is it's up to us to collectively demonstrate to the rest of the universe and the galactic people that we are worthy of being a spacefaring civilization and joining them, or we're going to demonstrate that we can't get past our self-destructive tendencies. And
hold that thought right there. Ron James is here from MUFON. He is a great documentarian with his 2023 film, The Accidental Truth. You go check that out. Part 2 seems to be coming out in June. This is Spaced Out Radio. All right, Ron, we are clear now. Just remember, our podcast and YouTube audience can hear us. Our radio audience cannot.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So we're in kind of like a commercial playing, but okay.
It's a hybrid thing.
It's a hybrid thing.
Yeah.
So Dave, while we're off the air, I see by looking at your studio that you are a member of a very special club. And the club is this.
Yes.
There's only one place in the world where you could get this.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Have you opened yours?
No.
No, I'm scared to open mine.
I'm saving it for something, but I don't know what. But yeah, I've had this for a few years. Maybe when we get back to the radio audience, we can tell them what it is.
Oh my. Yeah.
So I've been watching the chat. You've got a lot of really cool people in your audience.
Yeah, they're pretty smart. they're pretty smart. Deborah Rooney, how you doing? Oh, let's see here. Oob to Joe's Maine, you've got aliens. And I think we're caught up. If I haven't said hello to you yet, say hi, Dave, in the chat room, and I'll say hi back. Let's see here. Dutch Hank, how you doing? You're Dutch over in Dutchland. I think we got about 8 or 9 different countries in here right now.
I was noticing that.
Beelzebrad as a devil put aside for me.
Hello, Shane. Thank you. I'm watching the chat a little bit. Undead Jed. That's a cool name.
Did you get a bottle of abducted whiskey?
No, I just bought the tequila.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a guy in California. He's in your area. And he sells this whiskey called Abducted.
Wow. He should put a worm in it.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then as you drink the bottle on the back, on the inside of this label here, you can actually see a cow or something getting abducted as you go down.
Well, there's a million ways to cash in on ufology, I suppose. Why not do tequila and whiskey?
Jeff Papalia, how you doing? In the studio, how you doing? Good to have you here. Let's see. We got about 2 minutes, Ron. 2 minutes.
All right. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Mama Catherine says she bought your last movie.
Awesome. Thank you. I hope you liked it. The new one's coming out in June. It's got me nervous.
She's one of my favorite people in the world. And
yeah, Accidental Truth is a tough act to follow. I didn't want to make another movie if I wasn't going to move the ball, and I'm hoping that this new one moves the ball.
All right, we got about a minute and a half.
Oh, Catherine. Well, I'm nervous because, I put 2 years into making this new film, and I took a lot of chances as a filmmaker, and I'm putting a lot of stuff out there for people to think about. And this UFO community they will hang you up to dry if just for fun. So You know, just imagine if you had the last couple of years of your life that you were doing nothing but trying to make a good film that the world will appreciate. And now it's gone. I can't change anything. It's off to the distributor. And now I'm just sitting waiting to see how it's received. So yeah, it's very nerve wracking.
All right. Give me 2 seconds here, Ron. All right, we got 25 seconds. Thank you tonight so far to T-Bone, Ninja, JSCO, and Kitty for the super chats. We greatly appreciate your love and support. Also, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. It is all good. Go check it out. We're coming back in 3 seconds, everybody. Here we go, the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Film director Ron James is with us from The Accidental Truth. He's got a new series of this coming out in June. You're going to want to check it on out. And he's with MUFON as well as their director of media, and he does all of their MUFON television and everything. Ron, I don't know how many hats you wear. I thought I wore a lot of hats around here, my friend, but you wear, I'm surprised you even have time to do this, to be blunt. Let me get you unmuted here. I muted you there. That's my fault.
Dave muted me.
I did.
I'm just kidding. Well, let's see. So we were talking about the Galactic Federation before the break. So let me just wrap that up real quick. I think that humanity earned the right to self-determine, and there's a lot of elements when we're dealing with the nuts and bolts ET aspect of this phenomenon that would like to see different outcomes for humanity. Some of them love us and they'd like to welcome us into the galactic family. Has failed to prove itself, and it's probably not pretty. So it's up to us, and it's up to us to show that we're worthy of being good citizens in a galactic family, and we're doing a pretty crappy job. So it's a very trepidatious time to live.
For people who may not know what the Galactic Federation is, maybe expand on that and then tell us why you believe it's real.
Well, I mean, you know, earlier in the show, we did kind of a thought experiment that well, if this is true, then it stands to reason that this is probably true. And as I said before, it stands to reason that, that if there are multiple spacefaring species, they would have to, have a way of getting along. Otherwise, their technology puts them in possession of power to just destroy each other carte blanche. So it would only stand to reason that there's going to be some sort of loose alliance of planets, and we have no idea what a planet is. I mean, if you're looking at things from a galactic standpoint, and you've got a corporation that spreads across multiple solar systems, and you're an advanced race that has been here for eons, a planet with our resources is probably a crown jewel in galactic real estate. I mean, it harbors incredible diversified life. It's mineral rich, it's water rich, it's resource rich, it's DNA rich. You can experiment on it, you can mine it. So Earth is a valuable piece of galactic real estate. And so for us to be permitted to basically exist to the level we've existed means it means that something is probably letting us do it. But I also think that, you know, we have to step up, and the things that we're being told by experiencers and by these modern communications with these beings, whatever they are, and they can be a lot of things. We'll talk about that later. They're all telling us the same thing that our most ancient of spiritual teachings are telling us, that we've got to develop a more loving society, and we've got to give up this warmongering path to hatred. And if we don't, it's going to be our undoing. And now we have the technology for it to be our undoing. So planet Earth is reaching its apex moment where how we define the future is going to create the future that we have, and we're going to experience it.
Why do you think that we are so hell-bent on keeping this a secret from the Galactic Federation or from ourselves? What is the purpose of it all?
Well, there's a certain control structure that has managed to be established here on this planet, and part of it's human. Part of it's might be driven by non-humans. But the structure of power on this planet thrives by keeping people in the dark, unaware of their true potential, and basically a slave to the system that's been created here. Every one of us is born into this world where we live and die, and we serve this system, and that system is very efficient. There's all kinds of stories about how that system could expand even beyond Earth and into different levels of reality that people might really struggle with if they find out that kind of stuff is true. But there is a control mechanism on this planet that has absolutely no interest in giving up its power.
So when you say that, does that mean that countries like the United States have some sort of capability to have contact and maybe trade technology or learn technology from these UFO craft and potentially alien beings?
Well, there's plenty of evidence of that, from crash retrievals and all this other stuff. There are so many cases, and now we've got these people coming out saying, yes, they're calling it the legacy programs now. It never had a name before, so at least we're getting somewhere. There's all kinds of things that are happening here. And these missing scientists, somebody in the room just brought that up. These guys are all connected, and there's a few ways that they're connected, and it's frightening that they're doing this kind of stuff again. That there are people out there that need to be permanently shut up in order to keep this new narrative going.
Well, since you jumped into that pool, let's get into that. I mean, there is this conspiracy that all of these scientists that recently have either disappeared or have been found not breathing, because we have to use social media terms because we're not old enough to say the word dead, right? As ridiculous as that is, but this is getting a little more than just coincidence. As Tim Burchett said, many of them have testified, not publicly but privately, about the UFOs and the UFO programs, about the legacy programs. Many of them have ties to big secrets, like I've been saying for well over almost 2 months now. Somebody like General McCaslin, that guy had a multi-billion-dollar brain. The secrets that he had was scary.
Well, he was at the top of the food chain. I mean, he commanded Wright-Patterson, and anybody that's studied this long enough knows some of the stuff that's gone on at Wright-Patterson. It's an open secret, literally. My concern about him is that if all this stuff is true, that he left his house, he took his gun, but he didn't take his wallet or his phone or his glasses. That points to one thing. And when you're in this field and you're him or you're anybody that's at that level of government intelligence, you're in that community, you're in the CIA, you're in the intelligence, you're a high-ranking official with too many secrets. You get the order that it's time to wrap up your time on planet Earth to protect the secrets you live to cover. You're going to follow that order. And so, there's a lot of people speculating about what happened to him. I'm very, very concerned that he was told that he had to take care of it in a certain time frame and get out of the planet.
Science Bob, aka Dr. Bob McGuire, he believes that one of the potential theories that he has about McCaslin is that because McCaslin was starting to have some issues with his brain and memory,
cognitive issues, lower desires,
that he may have been picked up and said, "You're going to live here now, where we can watch you, so that way you don't say anything publicly."
Well, that would be the humane way to do it, but they would have probably let him take his wife.
Who's they?
whoever was going to pick him up and put him someplace where he couldn't run his mouth.
What do you think then about the fact that if you look at that situation, let's say that is true, the other scientists who've been found deceased around their homes?
All right. Well, look, here's what we have. We have a government, or whatever you want to call it, the people who've been managing this information, whose names we'll never know, have been calling the shots on disclosure since 2017 and before, when this whole new thing rolled out. So we have this narrative they're trying to spill, but we also have a problem because there's a lot of people out there who can upset this new narrative. And coincidentally, a lot of them are disappearing. And then we have the whistleblower protection program rolled out by Arrow. Hey, come to Arrow. Talk to us about the programs you were involved in. My theory about Arrow has always been that it is not a place to initiate and facilitate whistleblowers. It is a mechanism to identify the ones that are going to step up and cause problems. And one of the next investigations needs to be into, were these people paying attorneys at some point? Were they talking to Arrow? Were they going in and testifying to Tim Burchett? And so, that's the, sorry, I was glancing at the chat.
That's okay.
These people, every single one of them has one thing in common. McCandish has the thing he has in common is he sat at the top of the pyramid. There's very few people that probably know what he knows, and he knew he had the keys of the kingdom at some more than probably anybody else. And he was already talking to Tom DeLonge. So you have a guy that could basically blow the whole narrative out. Whoops. So there's that problem. But here's something that I dug up that nobody else has connected, and it's an example of how these people are connected. So we have this material that Linda Moulton Howe put forth a long time ago, and that magnesium bismuth layered material. Now, the story that surrounded that material and other materials is that if you can layer certain elements into an alloy, into a shell, and then you subject that layer to certain terahertz frequencies, then it's possible that a waveform guide can be created by this alloy that will guide a wave through the material, which could be a shell of a spaceship or whatever, and create an anti-gravity effect. Now, I have a video from the 1990s, I think it was. It was a long, very, very old video. It shows Linda Moulton Howe's materials being subjected to terahertz frequencies and literally bouncing around. And there's a voice on the tape. The copy I have doesn't have the voice anymore, but the one that I've seen does. And that voice is a young Travis Taylor testing this material and expressing huge surprise at the way the terahertz frequency waves are making this stuff levitate. And I talked to Gary Nolan about this, and he's still studying the material, by the way. And the question about how this stuff was made, and I'm sorry this is so long, but I'm going to tie it together for everybody. The question about how this stuff was made back then is, how do you layer all this material? It must be fake. But what we're dealing with here is 3D printing on an atomic and molecular level. We didn't have that on our radar screen when this material first came out. Maybe DARPA had it, but the general public had no idea what 3D printing is. But what we know now is that this material was very likely created with an advanced type of 3D printing. So, all right, so let's get back to terahertz. There is this guy, Frank Mawald. He was at JPL. Now, he's one of the missing, well, I don't know if he's missing or dead. Hold on. Let me check my notes. Yeah, he died July 4th in 2024. I think he got shot on his porch or something. But one of the things that this guy did was terahertz frequency research into sensors. Now, you might ask yourself, why is a guy at JPL creating sensors to detect terahertz frequencies? And so let me tie this all together, because terahertz frequencies are perhaps the way that we can create anti-gravity effects from these alloys. And if he was creating a terahertz frequency sensor, then he was creating a sensor that could detect these craft. And now he's gone. So as you look into these different elements of what these different people were doing, it all ties in. Monica Riza invented an alloy very similar to nitinol, which was the alloy that she invented is like a shape-shifting alloy, just like nitinol that came from the Roswell materials that we kind of exposed out in the first film. So she was working with materials of unknown origin. And all of these people have this in common, that they were all working on these programs that were either reverse engineering or developing technology from reverse engineered items. And the more you dig into what they're doing and you start connecting the dots, the more you can see that they're all people that could come out and expose the new narrative for being a complete lie. And my guess is that some of these people had probably began to explore being a potential whistleblower, and that will get you to the top of the list.
Man, it's just so hard to fathom, Ron, in anybody's brain in 2026 that these cloak and dagger games are still being played with people's lives, like people who have given their entire adult life to trying to strengthen the defense or the knowledge of the United States of America. And here we have them being unalived or gone missing and never to be seen again. I mean, that,
back in the day, back where, so many people in Roswell were threatened with, you say anything about what you saw. Yeah. Somebody just brought up James Forrestal. So many people in Roswell were threatened. It's like, hey, it's a big desert. Run your mouth. You're going to end up, nobody's ever going to find you. There's plenty of stories of people receiving those threats. And, somebody brought up Forrestal. There's a video online from, I think, a Forrestal documentary where these guys come and visit him at Bethesda. And they basically talk to him about the fact that he needs to be unalived. And they negotiate with him for a few minutes. They promise him that they'll name a ship after him, and they escort him to the window, and out he goes. And the idea that those kind of things happen, absolutely. The idea that perhaps it happened to the general, it's like there's got to be some explanation, and that deserves to be looked at as one of them, as much as I hate to say it.
When you look at today's controlled narrative of this subject, kind of shifting it towards what we're doing today, do you see a true whistleblower out there? And could any of these scientists been the real whistleblowers that were going to define the future of this subject?
Well, that's why they're not talking. One thing that people don't understand is that we've been told what's going on ever since it was going on. Anybody that's really into this field and that does their homework and looks at the information that's out there, the very people that have been keeping this a secret from us have leaked enough stuff. Now, granted, it's buried in disinformation. And so like the Majestic 12 papers, 90% of it could be bogus, but there's elements of truth in it. And that's how they've done it. They have, for those truly curious and those who truly want to know, this information has been put out. It's just hasn't been put out definitively, like a president standing at a podium showing pictures. But these very people that we chastise for being such secret keepers, really, if you really want to know, they've been telling us all along. And people don't understand that, which is fine. But they're people too. Oh, Grush and Corbell are prophets. Yeah, keep on thinking that. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. Yeah, so anyway, these guys have been tipping the hat for a long time. They're still tipping the hat. But the official narrative has to accommodate all of humanity and not totally disrupt our very day-to-day essence.
I'll throw one out there, and you might not know the answer to this. But if these secrets are supposed to be glued tight to the walls of secrecy, who's leaking it? And why are they leaking it in your mind?
Well, they've been leaking it all along, and they've been leaking it because there's a certain element that I believe that even the highest echelons of the secret keepers believe that humanity has a right to know. So their compromise between this deniability and this constant lying, and the understanding that humanity does deserve this information has been to roll out this stuff in the way that they've done it. And they've done it through, you know, weird little leaks and whistleblowers that tell a bunch of stuff that could be true, but then get discredited. You know, they've given us the information. You can put it together and there you go. There's books out there. I mean, look at the work Richard Dolan's done. Look at the work Leonard Stringfield's done. Look at if you take all this stuff and if you're somebody on the planet that cares about this UAP thing and wants to know the truth, they've been telling you. It's just not out there for everybody to consume. You got to dig for it. You got to find the things that resonate with you and make sense, and you got to separate the rest.
We have 4 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Ron James of MUFON is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Is there a whistleblower that's come out and really whistleblown anything?
No.
They say it's
none of these guys are whistleblowers. David Grush is not a whistleblower. Here's the formula. If what they are saying has to be cleared by the DOD before they can say it, they're not a whistleblower. They're an instrument of the new narrative. They're following orders and they're saying what they're allowed to say. So I don't think we've seen a real whistleblower, not one that's survived the process. None of Jake Barber. He's not a whistleblower. He's a guy that was told what he could say. If you have to clear your testimony through DOPSA, you're not a whistleblower. You're a player.
And I agree with you. I've told our audience that exact same thing, that we haven't had a true whistleblower about this subject as of yet. For you, in your mind, what would be a proper whistleblower?
Well, that's where it gets very difficult, because these guys, I call them men in a box. And the reason they're in a box, Hal Puthoff talks about it in James Fox's movie. They can't come out and tell what they know. If let's take Hal Puthoff for an example, or let's just take somebody who might have worked on a reverse engineering program. I mean, Bob Lazar is a bit of a whistleblower. He's probably the only genuine one, to come to think of it. I think he qualifies. But say you're somebody who ran a reverse engineering program and you come out and you tell everything. Well, you've just blown the secret. You probably lost your career. You're probably on some hit list. And if you don't have absolute definitive proof, they're going to discredit you. They're going to drag you through the mud. And whatever you came out and told is going to be, it's going to be your downfall, and it's not going to move the needle, because unless you fly the flying saucer and land it on the courtyard at CNN, you're just another person talking. And once you do that talking, you've lost everything. So, whistleblowing is not an easy thing to do, especially about this.
Do you think we'll ever get the truth about Bob Lazar outside of his truth?
Well, I don't think that they're going to suddenly release his records and acknowledge that he did all the stuff he did. But, I think Lazar is another one that's been allowed to talk. I'm not saying, I think that he genuinely, stuck his neck out in the beginning, but there's a reason he's still alive. And there's a reason that there's just a certain amount of stuff out there, just enough to question his credibility. But Lazar is another example of somebody who either was authorized to put this stuff out or allowed to continue once he did. But, it's like his story comes with a certain amount of doubt. And as long as they can paint that doubt, we can't ever completely 100% believe Bob, although I believe Bob. But I do. I totally do. I've met him. His story survived the test of time. Bob is Bob and like Travis Walton, people are up and down about Travis. I know Travis very well. And, there is no upside to him sacrificing a normal life to continue telling the story he told. There's just no benefit to him whatsoever. And it's the same thing with Bob. There's no benefit to Bob Lazar ever for doing what he did. Did he ever try to capitalize on his story? He did not. And he went and just lived a normal life and set up a company and just kept doing what he does. And, that's the marker really of people that, we're getting down. That's the marker of people that are legit.
Ron, we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go with a great guest tonight, Ron James. He's from MUFON, connections all over the UFO world, from politicians to longtime researchers and experiencers. He's one of the best. The Accidental Truth, Part 1 you can find from 2023. Part 2 comes out in June. I'm excited about it. You should be too. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. There we go. Play La Bamba, baby. Play La Bamba. The Edmonton Oilers thing. All right, Ron, we got about 5.5 minutes. I'm just going to play an ad here, and we'll be right back, okay?
Do I have time to go get a cup of coffee?
Absolutely you do.
Can people see me on camera?
No.
Not even on YouTube?
Right now they can, but they won't hear when I hit the video.
Okay.
All right.
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit cariboucon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. And let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
With 5 explorable Gold Rush-era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten, the 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of Gold Rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
All right, we're ready for Ron here momentarily, but first, let's say hello to Kitty Caddywhack, JSCO, Ninja, T-Bone, and Area 54. Thank you for the super chats. Andrew B., how are you? Holly Hall, let's talk on Wednesday. I have an idea, and we'll get that going. Everybody, we're getting back here in 3 seconds. Here we go with the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we have Ron James here from MUFON, talking everything UFOs. It's an interesting, deep conversation. If you've missed portions of it so far, you're going to have to check our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. I want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bubblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Heteropy. Heteropy is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in from MUFON Ron James. We're having a deep conversation about UFOs right now. And Ron, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure on Spaced Out Radio.
You know, the worst part about it being a radio host is when you're trying to hold back a sneeze while you're speaking. It's tough. It's a tough thing.
Try doing it while you're playing music.
True. Absolutely true. Ron, we were having an in-depth conversation right beforehand about disclosure and the movement, the whistleblowers that are kind of not really whistleblowers, but we ended up kind of on the Bob Lazar story. The one part about Bob's story that really doesn't make sense to me, and maybe you could clarify it a little bit. Here he is, has his life threatened, allegedly vehicles broken into, guns placed in his vehicle. He was shot at. Many people, on the conspiracy side believe that, there were some tragedies around him that may have been caused by his coming out about Area 51 and S4. And years later, he gets a government contract. I don't get that.
Well, maybe that was a way of taking care of him.
You think?
They don't have to kill everybody. They can take care of people too. Just like new trucks for Mac Brazel. Look, I don't know if there's a connection between him getting a government contract. My guess is that he had a corporation that did limited stuff. He was involved in all kinds of technology and things that he could provide through his government contract that not that many companies could provide. So he probably just won a competitive bid. Could it have been some kind of, something? Maybe. But my guess is that I don't think he got blackballed for being Bob Lazar from ever having a government contract. They're fairly easy to get.
Even after he spilled the beans.
Yeah, I mean, in order to penalize him for spilling the beans, you'd practically have to admit that there was something to spill the beans about. So that might be a no-win situation for people that are trying to cover it up.
Never really looked at it that way. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna blackball him for saying something, then you give his story credibility.
Totally jumping topics here. Where do you think the aliens are now?
Like right this minute?
Like right now. If you were to choose a place in the United States where they're hiding them, where do you think they are?
Well, there's definitely something going on here in Sedona. And I was part of the team that brought Ross Coulthard out here to do the story he did. We have a base that is right back. I live right under Thunder Mountain in Sedona. That's where I'm at right now. There's a base out here. It's been known to be there for a very long time. It's underground. It's rumored to be connected to Dulce, New Mexico. It's rumored to be connected through these underground tunnel networks to Denver. And, they've built underground tunnels all over the country with maglev trains and everything else. That's been pretty well documented. What we see when we go out there at night, and I had Patrick from Vetted out here, and we went out to the Bradshaw Ranch and we videotaped stuff going on out there that he's putting in his doc. Hope he doesn't mind me mentioning it. But the whole situation with that place is, I don't know if it's aliens that are there, but they're definitely testing reverse engineered technology or super advanced technology. You can literally see it. You go out there to some of these observation points, and what you'll see on certain nights is military helicopters kind of buzzing around, jets buzzing around even higher. But then you'll see these orb-shaped things come up out of the mountain, and then they break into a big giant glow, and then they either accelerate or they disappear. And they're obviously some kind of this is the thinking, that there's some kind of plasma craft that are out there being tested. And then, there's this story about tall whites and underground bases and all this kind of thing. So I think the aliens are on Earth or wherever they want to be. And I think they've probably been here longer than we have. So, I think Earth is just as much their planet as it is ours. And let's face it, if you're an alien race, and you would not want to face the wrath of an insane humanity, because as soon as they're revealed, there's going to be a whole big faction that thinks we're going to have to destroy them to keep our planet. And that's a sad truth. But if I were an alien species on Earth in the presence of humanity, I'd keep it a secret too.
Yeah. We're not the nicest people on the block, are we?
No, we're horrible. It's like, I guess it's human nature, but what's with all this killing? We're at the point now where we just think it's okay. This whole thing in Ukraine has turned into this meat grinder where hundreds of thousands of basically young people have been just slaughtered. And we're dealing with a leadership there that thinks it's okay to just keep sending people to the meat grinder to absorb bullets. What kind of thinking is that by a world leader? I mean, we're dealing with psychopaths in power that put no value on human life. They either want to enslave us, kill us, use us for war, profit off of us, or there is no, let's all love each other. Let's quit spending money on weapons so that we can support everybody on the damn planet that could have anything. The people in power are not allowing humanity to be its best. And rather there's some kind of nefarious power behind that, like people say, there's reptilians or whatever. The fact of the matter is that humanity is being led down a path to self-destruction by psychopathic leaders. And what's even worse is these religious beliefs that in order for those beliefs to be validated, we have to destroy ourselves. I mean, what kind of insanity is that, Dave? We have the Christian religion talking about the end of the world and Armageddon. We have the Muslim religion talking about the end of the world. The only way these people's belief systems get validated is if we wipe ourselves out or do horrible harm to ourselves. And so you see this cascading through the Department of War or Defense or whatever they're calling it now, that there's some kind of religious calling that the prophecies of Armageddon are being fulfilled, and it's up to certain people to make sure they're fulfilled so that the prophecies can all be true and everybody can validate their stuff. If we're living in a simulation, whoever wrote the game is really starting to go off the rails. Sorry for the rant.
No, please rant away. I mean, this violent simulation that we seem to be in, I mean, it's turned into a video game, sadly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a video game, and there's always the idea that, hey, we chose to come here, but you would think that collectively we have a certain control over how this turns out, and are we doing it? Are we collectively enough to overpower the darker side of our destiny? And I'm with, Elizabeth April talks about this, and I was talking about it years ago, that I think that our reality is going to kind of split. This game is going to be like an amoeba and do this. And people that are believing and supporting in certain things are going to live that outcome. And people that are trying to take a higher road for humanity, they're going to live that outcome. And so, depending on the vibration and the level of advancement of your own spiritual growth and the things that you choose to embrace, your life is defined and your evolution is defined not only by the things that you do, but by the things that you sign off on in this external illusion around you. So when you see horrible human behavior happening and you support that, you might as well be doing it yourself. And, at some point, whether it's this lifetime or your next lifetime or wherever spiritual beings go as they progress, we are going to experience a world that is the result of what we chose to support in all of the options for humanity and its behavior. And so it really boils down to an individual decision. And every one of us can make the decision to not sign on for this violence and this destruction that is happening right now. And the people that want to sign on for it, well, they can go have it. But we need to overcome that if humanity is going to ever reach its potential. It is not going to be reached through this warmongering, self-destructive nonsense that we're having right now. It's just not.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. Totally agree with that. When we look at the cover-up of the UFO story, I mean, people like Steve Bassett or Danny Sheehan or the late Stanton Friedman, Grant Cameron, and many others who have been, pushing the envelope, trying to get these stories out, this information out for decades. How do we blend that old school ufology to what is going on today? Because the game is so different.
Well, look, those guys, they're the pioneers. We just lost Nick Pope, and
yes,
Nick was a big influence on me. When I first got into UFOs, I was into, he used to write a column for UFO magazine while he was still at the Ministry of Defense. And I used to read that and I'd be like, wow, here's a guy in government who's actually willing to talk about this topic like it's not, tinfoil hat stuff. And I was impressed. And the same thing with Stanton Friedman. I was hugely impressed with Stanton because here was a scientist that would come on TV and talk from a scientific standpoint and not make a mockery of it. These guys are the pioneers, okay? And they did their role. I mean, we just lost Nick, and he's actually all through the new movie. It might be the last movie that he appeared in, and God bless him. But he was a huge influence on me. I'd say if it wasn't for Nick Pope and Stanton Friedman, I wouldn't have had the interest that I had in the field. And, later on, I got to meet them and know them and interview them. It was wonderful. But the work that these guys did was laying the groundwork for I call it the ancient aliens generation. The people now that are younger than us, they've grown up accepting that there's non-human intelligence and the government's lying. I mean, if you go and you interview and you do like a survey of Gen X and Gen Z, they're like, yeah, I mean, we take that as a given. They don't question it anymore. We've ingrained that understanding. And so we have helped to develop the generations of people that are going to be more receptive to this and eventually be able to accept it. And so the UFO community and all these researchers have played just as important a role in preparing humanity as the people that are managing the information and the churches, all these groups that are deciding how to roll it out. So you can never underestimate the power of the individual UFO investigators that have done this work. I mean, look at what Richard Dolan has done. I mean, it's just amazing. And so, we are just as important to this movement than any of these people in Washington, D.C. And the experiencers that are coming forth, they're about to have their day too. The stories they're telling, the communications they're having, we have to start taking this stuff seriously. And these people are the ones that are bringing us these messages that are consistent all over the world. And so government's only going to get us so far. And it's the guys in the trenches that have been doing this work that are helping to get humanity over the finish line. And Washington, D.C. is not going to take us where all of this private research and the heroes of ufology have taken us.
So when you look at the politicians that are involved in this, Tim Burchett, Eric Burleson, Anna Paulina Luna seem to be absolutely gas pedal to the floor about bringing the truth about this subject. Yes, politicians are known for talking a lot of tough talk, but it's the background reality that seems to be a little bit, that's where the real stuff happens, not in front of the camera. You could act blustery in front of the camera, but behind the scenes is where the work gets done. What do you think about their dogged approach on trying to bring this to light then, if you think they're not going to get very far?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I'm not trying to plug the new movie, but I take you into Washington, D.C. in a way that nobody has ever done. Just as an example, during the hearings where Lou Elizondo kind of spilled the beans about Lockheed Martin having those materials that were supposed to go to Bigelow Aerospace, for all you hardcore people that remember that. Well, guess what? Me and Melinda Leslie and Danny Sheehan and another friend of ours, Allie, we were in the back of the hearing texting questions to Eric Burleson to ask in real time. And we're the ones that texted him the question, a bunch of questions, but that he asked. We're the ones that texted him the question about Lockheed Martin. And we got Lou to spill the beans in real time. And, which was quite an accomplishment. It's all documented in the film. So I know these guys. I've spent a lot of time with Tim Burchett. I've spent a certain amount of time with Eric and met many others, Andre Carson. I can tell you that we've told these guys from a UFO investigator standpoint what we know, because they can have classified guy after classified guy come in and say, oh, well, I know this, but I can't tell you. Well, we don't need to put them in a skiff. We're not sworn to anything. So we could walk in and say, look, Roswell was bullshit. They're lying about the whole thing. There's been these things going on. This is where the bodies are buried. This is what's going on at Wright Pat. We could tell them all these things that the guys who know can't, because we know, but we're not sworn to secrecy. And I can promise the people that are watching this video and everybody out there that's going to see the new movie and everybody that we've done it. We've sat down in these offices with members of Congress and we've laid it out and they've listened. And on the other side of that, Dave, they can only get so far, because Representative Luna, Tim, all these guys, they can call in the David Grushes and the people that have worked on reverse engineering programs, but these guys can't tell them anything. They don't have the clearance. Even if they get them in a skiff, if you don't have the above top secret need to know, blah, 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 a guy can sit there that tried to reverse engineer a flying saucer, saw it land, and he could be sitting there in a private conversation with a member of Congress. He still can't tell him anything. So these people are in a difficult position because At some point, we all get dragged into a room and we all get told the same thing. And it is, look, I can share some information with you, but you can't make it public. And once that happens, you're part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. And every time that has happened to me, I have turned around and I've said, look, and it's happened a lot. Don't tell me anything that you don't want to see in my next film, because I am not here to carry the burden of your secret. I am here to tell the world what's going on in the best way I possibly can. So don't ask me to join the conspiracy, because I'm not going to do it. And you know, that unfortunately very few people will take that stance, but it's the stance I've taken. Don't tell me unless I can tell everybody. Which is probably why I'm, you know, my film gets buried. And, you know, it's like, we're one of the people that's not playing the game.
And I don't think you can play the game. I mean, even, you know, with this show, I have noticed, and I've taken heat from audience members on this, you know, Ron, I've taken heat because it is extremely difficult. I have a better chance of winning the lottery up here in Canada than I do of getting certain names on this show, because there seems to be a control of who can talk to who can attend certain conferences, who can't. You know, there seems to be some sort of media control over the who, what, where, when, why, and how of this story.
Of course there is. The people that are doing this, you know, let's look at a couple examples. Whenever they release a certain amount of information, and then the community, the UFO community, and all of the people, us guys that aren't, you know, read in privileged assets of the new narrative, we're just the renegades that don't really want to play their game. We want the truth to come out to humanity, not the truth that they want to give us. Whenever we're involved in this kind of thing, we speculate. You know, we get, oh, well, David Grush said this, so let's look at this. Oh, maybe it's this base. Maybe it's that base. Stephen Greer drops a whole list of bases where the stuff is. Well, all of a sudden they're like, hey, you guys just got ahead of the skis. We don't mind acknowledging that maybe there's a reverse engineering program, but we never said it was okay to tell everybody where it is. So then they'll throw in a major kneecap. Lou Elizondo will hold up a fake picture at a congressional not a congressional function, but at a function where sitting Congress people are present. That kneecapped a lot of momentum. The Wall Street Journal will come out with an article about how the whole thing's BS and it was just a joke to haze pilots, and there's no such thing to UFOs or UAPs. You know, it's just all nonsense. So these guys have the media, they have they have the podcasters, they have every single aspect of this under some level of control. And the ones that they can't get to play the game, they'll just suppress them as much as they possibly can. It happened on my first movie, and it's happening on this one. But, you know, I had ways of knowing that was going to happen and fighting to make sure I made a film that was hard to ignore. And, you know, actually, the first Accidental Truth won 28 film festivals. They tried to kill it, but it still got out there, and millions of people have watched it. And this new one's facing the same kind of uphill battle. I've had distribution issues. I've had people that are in the film that aren't supporting it. You know, it's like it's very, very strange. But this movie moves the ball again, and you know, everything I put in it, I got fair and square.
We have about a minute to go here before we got to go to break. Who's controlling the shots on the media coverage of this then? Do we know? Is there a certain group, or is it just the Pentagon? Who is it?
Look, at the very core of this is a group of people whose names we will never know, whose faces we will never see. They're a very, very small group at this point, because a lot of them have died off, and the amount of people that have the whole picture is diminished rapidly. A lot of it is passed on word of mouth. I believe that evidence has been destroyed to never see the light of day. These people are bubbling up their influence the way that they do. It's like if the order came from way deep to float a story to the New York Times. It comes up through the intel community. It comes up to the CIA, or it comes up to whoever. And then the person at the top just echoes the order to whatever. They've got the media so infiltrated that it's very easy. So there's an entire structure that is in place to manage this information. It started back in the 40s, probably before, and they've gotten very good at what they do.
Well, on that note, we're going to continue this great conversation with Ron James. The Accidental Truth is his documentary from 2023. Part 2 of that is coming out in just 2 months' time. So make sure you watch the first before you watch the second, because it's great information and it will get you up to date quickly on.
Yeah, the first one's free on YouTube. Sorry. No.
Listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we are clear, my man. There we go. Terry Hull and your mustache. How you doing in the chat room tonight? Skidder operator, how you doing? Nice to have you back. Missouri man, thank you for joining us. We got a few questions here from our audience for you when we come back, Ron.
Sure. How do you think it's going?
Fantastic. This has been good.
This is what I'm talking about just going on and on.
Just go. And
lately, I've just been, I don't want to hold anything back. I'm watching a lot of stuff that's just wrong, and I've got something to say about it. And so I'm saying it.
No, say it. Say it. This is the place to do it.
No, I mean, I have been. And, like I said, if I seem too wordy or I'm just ranting too long. Somebody asked who is not cooperating for news interviews.
We'll get to that question in the next half.
Boy, that's going to get me in a lot of trouble if I name that one.
Divine Diamond, welcome to SOR chat. How you doing? Yeah, you're getting some good thumbs up in the chat room.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm watching it. Maybe I shouldn't be looking over there, but
that's okay. I look over there. All right. It's good stuff tonight. Good way to kick off the week. Highly energetic.
Hey, if these people ask about stuff, this guy wanted to know about who. Do you want me to answer him? Do you want me to name names?
Well, if we want, let's do it during the radio side, though.
I could call out some serious people, but I don't think I should.
Well, whatever you're comfortable with. Whatever you're comfortable with, as long as you don't get in trouble. Are you heading to Cincinnati?
No, I'm going to take that year off.
Slip and Chip, welcome to SOR chat. Let's see here. Yeah, I would love to go back to a MUFON conference. I had so much fun in Denver.
Denver was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I've been doing the AV for MUFON for those things for like 10 years. And this year I just couldn't do it. And so I'm just going to take a year off and help them try to get on course that they can do it without me having to do it all for them. It's just too much. Doing the live streaming for those events, you're setting up all the cameras, you're setting up the stages, you're setting up you're doing the live streaming, you're doing the recording, you're building the projector screens, you're lighting the stage. It's a heart attack on a plate, and I'm 63. I'm just tired of doing that kind of work.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Yeah, I hope they come back to the West Coast again. I want to try and get there. It was a blast that year that I was there.
Hey, so can anybody hear me right now?
Yeah, the YouTube audience and the podcast audience can.
Okay, so Are you on private chat?
I have a private chat. Yeah.
Here. Tell me if you want me to tell these stories. I've got a couple of them that are pretty bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I know that one.
I have more. You know what they did just right now? What this guy did?
I don't think I want. We'll save that for off the record.
There's a whole history of stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah. Said Salem or Saeed Salem? How am I pronouncing your name? Did I get it right? Welcome to the SOR chat, though.
Like somebody just said, tell Dave everything because it's just you and Dave. None of us can hear you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a.
You gotta realize a lot of things, though, guys. We gotta be careful with. Not that we don't want to get the information to you, but it is what it is. Here we go. We're into the second half of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We have Ron James from MUFON hanging on out here with us tonight. We're going to get right into it with some audience questions, Ron. But first, tell everybody where they can find the accidental truth.
So the first accidental truth that I put out in 2023 is now you can rent it on Amazon, all that stuff. But if you want to watch it for free, it's on YouTube Movies and TV picked it up. They've been very good to me. I'm happy to share it for free through them. So you can go see it there. Just look up Accidental Truth and follow the YouTube link. Accidental Truth Next will be out on Apple TV, YouTube Movies, Google Play, and we're waiting for final confirmation from Amazon. Whether they're taking it or not. That's been an interesting journey, I must say. But it's coming out on June 2nd. And you can keep up with the film at accidentaltruthnext.com. And believe me, wherever you think this movie's going, you're in for a hell of a surprise.
That's awesome. Audience questions. Here we go. Start off with Derek. Ron, do you believe Congressman Tim Burchett when he said he was briefed that there are human NHI hybrid programs here in the USA?
Well, I mean, I absolutely believe that somebody came into his office and told him that. Who that person was and what level of access they had it could be a completely different thing. I mean, Matt Gaetz said the same thing. And Tim shared a story with me about behind the scenes of him and Matt Gaetz, and I think it was Representative Luna going to Eglin Air Force Base and meeting with some officers and pilots there, and they were told a lot of stuff. So when these people say that that they're being briefed about this stuff, you got to ask who's doing the briefing, right? If Stephen Greer walks into Tim Burchett's office and tells him a bunch of stuff, well, Tim Burchett just got briefed on everything Stephen Greer wants to share. Does that mean that he was given true, provable inside knowledge? It doesn't mean that. So, these guys are, believe me, they have had a steady parade of people coming forth and telling them things. In fact, I asked Eric Burleson, why, with all of the people that have come and talked to you and all of the things that you've been shown, do you still publicly say that you haven't seen enough to make up your mind? You got to ask that, right?
That does make sense. What was his answer?
So I think that's about the best I can do with that question.
Ron, you said you talked to Eric Burleson about that. What was his answer?
About why? Well, because he can only say so much. It's like, and here's the thing. He's got David Grush working on his staff, but David Grush can't tell him everything David Grush knows. I mean, how weird is that?
Yeah. I wondered about that. What is that relationship? Have you looked into that?
Well, I mean, just as much as everybody, David Grush needs a job just like everybody else. And Eric brought him in, but that still doesn't mean that Eric gets, access to everything David Grush knows, because he's not cleared yet. Can you imagine? You hire a guy, he comes to work for you, but he can't tell you the questions you most want answered, but you're paying him. I mean, this whole thing is just weird. The fact that Congress and look, I have nothing but respect for these people. That Tim Burchett is not, snowing the public. He wants to know just as much as us, and he's risked his political career. It's been good for him, but it might not have been good for him. He might have lost all of his credibility going out after this topic, but he did it because he believes in it. And Eric Burleson, he's the same way. He wants answers. And as he says, this is a show me state, so you're going to have to show me. I believe he's been shown enough, but I also believe that he's tempering he's working with the new narrative and the way it's got to be rolled out. Let me tell you a story about Marco Rubio. Do you guys remember when we had the very, very first hearings, when Andre Carson opened the hearings and we had Bray and Moultrie from the DIA come out? Okay, what happened to Rubio? Let's think about this for a second. This guy comes, he was so loud about this topic. He was talking about it at every press conference. Marco Rubio was the leader of the crusade for truth right up until that hearing. It was after that hearing that he went into a confidential briefing same day, and he walked out and never spoke of it again in any kind of significant manner. He certainly dropped the torch. And, he was in Dan Farah's movie, Age of Disclosure. And then afterward, he threw his own interview under the bus. He's like, oh, well, I was just saying what people told me. He totally, and I guess you have to do what you have to do to sell a movie, but he totally disavowed his own appearance in the film. And my theory of that is that these guys get read into a certain point, and then all of a sudden they agree. Yeah, we can't tell the world this stuff. And it's a lot easier to buy somebody's secrecy when they agree with the reason for it than it is to scare them into not talking. And so I believe that some of the inside information these guys have gotten is telling them that, yeah, there's a reason this is being done the way it is. There's a reason disclosure is a controlled process. There's a reason this stuff needs to be a secret. And I think once they get a real inkling of it, including myself, there's some of this stuff people just don't need to know.
Yeah, I think of, when you mentioned Marco Rubio, I also think of Kirsten Gillibrand. She was all about getting to the bottom of this, talking tough in the media about this subject, and boom, she's disappeared as well on the topic. I found that very interesting as well.
Yeah, so the political process is only going to get us so far. And in the new movie, I drag everybody through Washington, D.C. I take you behind closed doors. I show you things that happen that nobody will ever know about except I put them in this film. And then, 40 minutes into the film, we just see a complete nails down a chalkboard. This is it. We're done with DC. Let's go somewhere else. And that's kind of where we're at.
Let's get to another question here. This one coming from JSCO. Ron, what do you believe is the biggest accomplishment of your new film? Can you share some of the woo it offers?
Yeah, Accidental Truth was a tough act to follow. It was very well received, and it got a lot of attention. And I didn't want to make another one just to capitalize on the name. So this is called Accidental Truth Next. And it follows the same template of an Accidental Truth movie. We have a bit of a history lesson in the beginning. Then we have some weird unexplained stuff that we still can't, material studies. We go and we pull samples of materials. We take them back to Congress. We turn them into Arrow. We have them analyzed in a separate track with a different lab. And we show that Arrow just kind of winged it. We have samples of this material that any actual laboratory can ask me for a sample for independent testing. This stuff does some weird things. I mean, just weird. And the fact that the government just whitewashed the reports, we have that. But the most important thing is we're not asking the right questions. about what this all means. So the entire last part of the film is dedicated to opening people's consciousness to the bigger picture. We cover AI, we cover simulation theory, we cover ancient teachings, we cover all of these different things that all have to play into it. And, you know, people are like, dude, you started in the streets of Washington, D.C., and you ended up at the edge of reality. And I was able to follow this entire story. So I'm taking the audience on a journey this time. Some of them might jump off the bus, but if you can handle it at the very end, you're just going to be like, holy yeah. And that's what I wanted to do. So that's the woo it offers, is what does this all mean in the broader context?
All right, let's go to cryptid guy, or pardon me, let's go to Kaiju here. Ron, do you think the government doing disclosure as opposed to extraterrestrials reveal themselves to the world is a better way? Should it be humans to reveal the truth?
Well, in order for it to go over properly, it's got to be a human orchestrated event. That extraterrestrials and non-human intelligence are doing a pretty good job of pushing the process. It's like, you know, I really think there's a certain amount of pressure that, hey, we're ready for humanity to know about us. We're going to work with you in how that gets done, but you better hurry.
Do you think then that there has been a message sent from whatever beings down saying, hey, we are on our way, so you better start preparing people now? Is that
no? This has been going on
all of this?
This has been going on for all of recorded history. You know, the ancient church knew about it. All of the world's religions tell us about these non-human intelligence interacting with humanity. The thing that we're having so much trouble reconciling right now is that everybody thinks that means something different, and what they don't understand is that it means all of it. And so you have all these little camps. Oh, it's angels, it's demons. No, it's extraterrestrials and nuts and bolts crafts. And these guys just want to go at each other, when really the answer is it's probably all of the above and a whole bunch of other stuff we can't even fathom. So, you know, once again, humans are stuck in being human, clinging to their belief systems and fighting for their own truth, when they don't understand that truth is in a simulation, truth is a flexible element.
I would agree with that. Next question. Let's go to Caged here. Who is not cooperating for news interviews, etc., with you or anybody, Ron?
That's a really tough question to ask. I'd be happy to answer it personally. But, you know, one thing I could tell you is there is one big radio show. Everybody knows who it is. It's the biggest of the biggest. And through making 3 award-winning UFO documentaries, through being the media relations director for MUFON, and through being all over all kinds of different podcasts, working on TV shows, being on Ancient Aliens, these people still refuse to have me on. And they're just one. So I was pegged early on as a bit of a wild card as far as how I'm going to comply with the information rollout. And it's kept me down in a lot of ways, but I don't want to play the game, and I'm not going to play it. There's too much information that needs to get out that these guys are not going to allow. So there's a few, but I just gave you a pretty good clue.
Yeah. Let us ask you then, what is that game? I know it because I've been played in it, and if you're in this field, you know what it's all about. But for our audience who may not be familiar, what is the game?
Well, the game is that once you illustrate an ability to keep a secret, to adhere to a narrative, and to support a narrative, then stuff will be funneled to you that allows you to kind of rise into the limelight. And so the people that are willing to play along are getting the kind of push and boost and exposure, and the people that aren't willing to play along are largely being it's not that they're doing things to actively keep them down, but they're not doing things to actively help them up. You know, MUFON has been put up with this forever. The more information we've been able to glean, the more the government has infiltrated our organization, the more they've done everything they can to cause internal problems inside of MUFON so that they could never rise and truly claim their place. And we've survived through all of that. But MUFON's had its share of kicks in the teeth too. They want MUFON to be a collect to keep track of everything that's going on than to put the boots on the ground under surveillance. But then don't let them get too big, because then they can really start making waves. So there's a whole way that this is done, and all we can do is fight to support the people that aren't playing the game. If you're seeing somebody who gets handed videos all the time from unnamed sources and drops their name on them, and then they're proven later to be bogus, why are you putting your name on stuff that should belong to the public? It's not yours. It's like, what's going on? And it's obvious what's going on. The people that are willing to float the game are the people that are getting the most press, because they're willing to float the game.
And it is a big shell game, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest secret facing humanity, with more consequences for the human race than anything else. If we really knew the lay of the land, everything the way we're doing on this planet would stop. Absolutely stop. We would stop destroying the planet. Because we wouldn't have to destroy the planet. We could power the entire planet with energy everybody needs in a whole different way. We would stop destroying each other, because there's nothing left to fight over. And these control mechanisms that psychopaths have put in place to exploit us, and whoever is behind them, I won't close the door to religion at this point, is that would all fall away, and we would literally live in a paradise of our own making. And for some reason, we just can't get to that point. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, we're silly that way. Let's go to Art here, who's listening in on LinkedIn. Do people really understand what they're asking for when they demand full disclosure? Or are they only ready for answers that fit their existing beliefs and expectations, not the kind that would actually change their worldview?
That's interesting, because I think that's one of the reasons they're not really willing to tell us the whole truth, is because no matter what that truth is, people have a tendency to cling to their own beliefs. And so getting people to change their own beliefs based on information, they will choose to discredit the information before they'll change their belief system. They will do everything they can to struggle within their own ego to preserve everything that they thought was true. So if you release information that could be absolutely paradigm shifting, it's going to fall on deaf ears in a lot of ways. And it's just going to be, people are going to fight for what they believe. Look at the cattle mutilation thing. We had Chris O'Brien, who said it was, we got all these different people. Linda Moulton Howe says it's one thing. Chris said it was another before he passed away. And Dr. Greer says it's something else. And these people will fight for their point of view. And so when you go to the entire planet and you say, hey, everything you thought you believed, including your religious structures and your sense of who you are and what you are and why you're here, none of it's true. Here's a little bit of information on what really is true. Good luck with that. It's going to sow complete chaos.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got about 6 minutes to go here before we have to say goodnight to you, Ron. Let's continue.
Dave, I don't want to go. Let's take up the other hour. Let's open the bottle of alien tequila and do shots until they take us off the air.
Well, I'm not
just
kidding. Say that things like that haven't been done before.
Oh, wait, Sean Kirkpatrick. Are you really asking me about Sean Kirkpatrick?
T-Bone is wanting to know about what you think of Sean Kirkpatrick.
Oh boy, this guy's been an intelligence op guy from day one. In the new film, we pretty much take 3 minutes to dismantle Arrow. He did his job. There's video in the trailer. You guys will get to see the trailer when it comes out in a few days. It's a bird, it's something else. That guy was Arrow was basically, they're the new Robertson panel. They're a repeat performance of things that they've already done. It's a group that was convened to actively discredit as much as they possibly could. And Kirkpatrick was the perfect person to run it for that purpose.
who do you think was controlling his shots? Was it Susan Go from the Pentagon?
No, Susan's another mouthpiece, but she knows the game. She knows what she's doing. It's the same people that are controlling what Lou says, the same people that control what Grush says, the faceless people who we will never know. And they're running the entire thing from so deep, and they have their way of their will gets filtered up through whatever, oh, this needs to go through CIA. Who do we have at CIA? This octopus has been in place for, close to a century. And they're very good at what they do. Susan is a trip. Wait till you see the new movie.
How much feedback or pushback did you get from her?
Well, she won't let me interview her. We kind of called her out in the first film, and she gets a cameo role in the new one. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but when they did the second hearing with Kozlowski, who took over Arrow, Susan Go was sitting right next to him. And every time Kirsten Gillibrand would say something about protecting whistleblowers, Susan would look at Kozlowski and at the camera like, yeah, go ahead, try to whistleblow. She was there to scare him off. And the message that she was conveying, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. The message that she was conveying, anybody that was thinking about whistleblowing, that watched that hearing and watched her face and knows who she is, they ain't talking.
Oh, she looked cranky. I remember that. I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
I remember those. I mean, we're talking the most twisted eye. Like if you're like the intoxicated husband at the friend's party and you keep yapping and you get that dirty look from your wife.
Can I show you a screen? Will this present button work?
Sure. Explain to our radio audience what we're going to look at.
Oh, they'll see it.
Ron is just trying to pull up something for us. I'm all excited now. I don't know what it is.
Here we go. What's that phrase? A picture paints 1,000 words.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the face of those who would like to reassure whistleblowers that they will be safe.
Yeah, Kozlowski in that photo looks like a man who has just had his heart ripped out.
Well, he told James Fox that his hands are tied as much as anything he's ever done. And yeah.
Do you think they will disband Arrow?
I think they should.
I agree, but there is that word, right?
Yeah, Luna's trying to do it. But here's the thing. Kirsten Gillibrand is in my film, and you guys are going to see something that will blow you away. She looks right at the camera and promises UFO whistleblowers that they will be safe. And I couldn't believe I got her to do it, but I did. It's absolutely priceless. But she believes in Arrow. She really thought that this would be a good mechanism for getting disclosure done, but the whole thing got sidetracked. And I feel sorry for her because she doesn't really want to acknowledge how bad it was, but it was. But she says something very interesting in the film too. I ask her, she says, well, everybody is very comfortable saying it's unknown. The intelligence community is happy saying it's unknown. The Defense Department is happy saying it's unknown. Everybody's comfortable there. And I look at her in the interview and I go, that makes a lot of sense. It's like she hasn't seen the movie yet. She's probably not going to be happy, but yeah,
probably not. Ron,
but I mean, saying that we're all comfortable saying it's unknown, and you know what? Prediction. That's what we're going to get. We're going to get some videos, and they're going to go, we don't know what they are. That's the next phase of disclosure. Here it is, but we don't know anything.
Ron, we have about a minute to go with you tonight. And I want to say thank you so much for coming back on our big show here. And it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Do me a favor, take the next 45 seconds, tell everybody where they can find you in your movies.
All right. So Accidental Truth is on YouTube now for free. You can rent it on Amazon. I would never say don't do that. And then the new movie comes out on all the platforms. It's called Accidental Truth Next. If you go to the website and sign up for the newsletter, you'll get some access to some clips that aren't in the film. It's accidentaltruthnext.com, and you'll get some treats for signing up and letting us keep you posted. Comes out June 2nd on Apple, Google Play, YouTube movies and TV, and we're not sure about the Amazon release date yet.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Anytime you want to come on and chat and spill the beans about UFOs, the door is always open for you, my friend.
Well, thank you, and thank you, audience. I really appreciate the good word in the chats. So thank you. It's you guys that make these shows work. It's not us.
Ron James from MUFON, everybody. Coming up next, we got Swamp Dweller, we got the UFO Report, and the Cryptid Key all at once. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Great job tonight, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. I got to run here, but we will talk very, very soon. And like I said, anytime you want to come on, just let us know.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate it. And you owe me that critique.
I will. Talk later, buddy.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Ron James, everybody. How cool is he? Love that guy. Here we go.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your Spaced Out Radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now. Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The Weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
All right, we are back. Let's bring in Grantavius Maximus and Cryptid Gee, if he's on. Cryptid Gee, are you there?
I am here, brother. How you doing?
Good. Turn your beautiful camera on.
Oh,
Thank you tonight.
It's been a rough day, man.
Blue Cruise, T-Bone ×2, Jennifer, Area 54, Kitty Cattywack, JSCO Ninja. We appreciate your love and support of this show. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag. No ugly swag, people, so make sure you check it on out. And we're going to get going here in 3 seconds. We are into the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We have the UFO report at Swamp Dweller coming up next, but first we want to say hello to each and every one of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is, I forget, heterotopy. No, that's wrong. Heteropy, whatever. That is your password. I can't pronounce it tonight. The Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Oh, goodness. I can't stand the Clam sometimes. Let's go to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. NASA is hiding something terrible. This story occurred a few years ago in 2019. I, at the time, was a senior in high school. I live in South Mississippi near the NASA-owned Stennis Space Center. Here, they do test rocket engines for future space travel. Since the rocket engines are known to create a large blast, there are thousands of acres of dense pine forest around the testing area to hold large game such as deer and wild hog. On a seemingly warm and humid night in mid-September, I decided to trespass in the buffer zone to try my luck at bagging a wild hog. I was using an AR-15 with a night scope. Around 11 p.m., I exited from I-10 onto some back roads that took me to more minor logging roads, leading into the buffer zone. I parked my truck outside the buffer zone just a bit and started my 2-mile walk into the pines. I found a tree I liked just off the dirt road and set up my overlook over the street and a large field left over from the logging field. Not even 10 minutes into the setup of my tree stand, I see a set of headlights flashing amberly. Shit, I must have set off some motion detection or have been spotted on a trail camera. I held tight in the tree, and the car stopped a few hundred feet away from the road. I can make out the word security on the side of the vehicle through my scope. 2 men get out, and one sparks up a cigarette.
Probably just some kids,
I hear one of them say.
Want to look around?
The others say. I couldn't help but notice the nighttime noises you usually hear slowly fade away. And both men grew uneasy by the looks of it, and without a word they got back in their car and drove away in a hurry. That was odd, I told myself as I realized that no noises were coming from the surrounding forest, not even the cool breeze that usually flows through the pines. Like clockwork, I hear a deafening howl or a scream. It was a blood-curdling screech that sounded like a crow if it would howl like a wolf. I grew up on the bayou and had Native American blood, though, honestly, I've heard many stories of the Rougarou and other folk stories. I've spent plenty of time in the woods and have never heard any noise like it. I'm a big guy now. I'm 6'4", 220 pounds, give or take, not to mention I have an AR-15. But just then, I crapped myself. I quickly dropped down the tree, scraping myself badly, and began walking fast to get out of there. Before I exited the clearing, I scanned the field with my night vision scope, and there I saw it, maybe 100 yards away, staring me down. A sizable coyote-looking animal. We don't have wolves, so that was out of the picture. This thing was huge, and it looked almost human in some places. Its hands were spotty with mangy fur. It was patchy with white or gray skin under it. I hauled ass, and I was not going to stay and try to be the badass guy from the movies who hunts and kills the mysterious creature. I ran for maybe 15 minutes until I could see my truck ahead. It was a white truck, so it reflected well in the moonlight. I couldn't help but notice what sounded like another pair of footsteps running with me. I wasn't stopping to try to see what it was, and my goal was to get to my truck and never look back. As I got to my vehicle, I fumbled with my keys because it was an older truck and didn't have a remote unlock. When I got in, I started it and flipped on my light bar. I could see a set of glowing orange eyes staring at me, right in the front of my windshield. I stepped on it and drove 15 minutes to my house, where I got home and could not sleep. In the days following, I asked my buddy's dad, who I'm close with, who works as an essential guy over at the Stennis in the security department. He just shrugged it off and almost laughed about it. I have a feeling he knows what it was, and since then I haven't heard any other stories about it. But I have heard other stories about Stennis Space Center, like creepy men dressed in all black suits darting into the forest. Almost like that video that surfaced a few years ago of all those faceless guys in suits on the side of the road. I've heard some similar stories to mine, but nothing exact. Please let me know what you think of these odd encounters.
Thank you, Swampy, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to hear from each and every day and night. Yeah, they're great. They are. Time for the UFO report.
The sky, friends got the stories breaking through. What's hidden now comes into view. From distant lights to secret files, mystery tracks for miles and miles. It's news, truth revealed. Every signal slowly peeled. So tune in close, don't miss the facts. UFO facts, we've got your backs. Space Down Radio becomes a song.
All right, Grant Baker, it's good to have you here. And we are also welcoming in the cryptid Gee, Christian McLeod, because guess where Christian is, Grant?
Oh, where's that, my man?
He's in Wisconsin, hanging out on Bray Road. So for many people who don't know, okay, The Beast of Bray Road in 1989. Was it 1989 is where Linda Godfrey, the late Linda Godfrey, and I absolutely love Linda. She actually was working at a newspaper about people seeing werewolves along Bray Road in this Wisconsin town. And she eventually started becoming one of the world's leading researchers into the Dogman phenomena. And Christian is the guy who is there right now. Christian, how you doing?
I'm killing it, man. How are you guys doing?
Good. I'm very good. Since you don't have a picture up for our YouTube, so
well, I'll tell you why we're
up right now.
I'm sure Christina will love that picture yet again.
Yes. So what's it like up at the Bray Road area? Whereabouts is that?
It's in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. I tell you what, the town, what we've done, we're taking a couple days up here. Today we were kind of branching out in our research and actually going to the places we've heard about, specifically the graveyard from 1936, the original property where all this happened on, and then of course, the supplemental stories. So we've been very lucky. We managed to get most of that done today. And tomorrow's the nighttime investigation. Tomorrow we're just going there. We're going to get there about 10 o'clock at night. And we're just going to go around and walk around Bray Woods in the old area, see what happens.
I got a question real quick. You said
Yes,
1936. Is this the Gadara incident?
No.
Okay. I thought it was the same place. Where the burial mounds are and all that?
No. There is a graveyard,
okay.
But it's a church graveyard. And it's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. In fact, I actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because I had a lot of questions myself on how legit these stories were. And after being there today, I have to question probably 85-90% of them. But that said, you want to talk about a creepy place. In the middle of the day, it looks like a bayou in the middle of Wisconsin, but then you throw in cornfields with no corn in them. You know how they cut them down and just leave basically the stalks for fertilizer. And it's just miles and miles of that. Now, I will say this, the town is gorgeous. The people couldn't be any nicer. But it's one of these situations where everyone's being real careful about what they say when they see like the cryptid guy hoodie or something like that. Or we had one guy, his name was Alex. He told me his name's Alex, nicest guy in the world. He recognized me, which I was really surprised with, and I was probably recognized Christina more than me. And he asked what I was doing here. I told him, and he told me, he goes, he's been here for 20 years. He's never heard of anything. And then we went into a cafe, just doing a little snooping, and we spoke to a very nice waitress who. There was definitely something she wanted to say, but she wasn't gonna. I don't know, what I'm talking about. She was very tight-lipped, but it was one of these things. If you give her a couple of beers and put her in a room where she's comfortable, we probably got hours and hours. So it's been like that. But the area itself, we have found the original property line from the original farmers. I was actually in the graveyard looking at their gravestones today. So when I talk about doing research, we have been doing, boots on the ground, getting everyone's name, correlating dates for ownership of farms. The original farm is now it's a beautiful little conglomeration of houses, but the backyard and the hollow in which most of this happened, allegedly, for some of the military aspects, that's all there. That's just on private property, and we'll be creeping around there tomorrow, looking to get in there tomorrow night. So it's just been, the place is incredible. Elkhorn is beautiful. It is beautiful, but you can see there's something, you can feel it too. You can really feel it, because when you get on Bray Road, it's just like, it's just like being almost 10, 20 miles in the middle of the woods and then hearing a tree knock or a yope or something. There's just something there. You get that feeling. But it's definitely worth coming out here for to see. The place itself, you could probably hide 10, 20,000 dogmen, werewolves, whatever we want to call them here. it's that much space.
So the reason why I asked you if it was the Gadara incident is because there is actually, when I was looking up the missing scientists that we've been talking about recently in the last few weeks, there was a correlation between the Gadara incident and Elkhorn and specifically Bray Road that I had looked up that came across my feed about Monica Reyes and General McCaslin. There's actually some theorists, I guess is the word, point to the fact that there is disappearances that occur near geological and historical anomalies. And Bray Road actually comes up as one of those when I was looking up the McCaslin and
if you want, instead of calling it Bray Road, if you, for your research purposes, look up County Trunk Road. That's County Trunk. That was Bray's original name. And they get the name Bray from a family that they home shared it in 1850. But then they vanished without a trace in 1863. And it's one of these vanishings where the breakfast was on the table, the oven was still hot, the coffee was still hot, and then and everyone's gone. They've never been seen since. There's 3 or 4 issues like that I've chronicled on Bray Road. Now, there is a place called Racine that had a graveyard that's next town over. Racine's where the other graveyard where the gentleman in 1936 allegedly had a 2-night-in-a-row visit by a dogman digging in a grave. And then he said some kind of biblical word that it means I can't remember what I wrote down. I mean, I have it in my research, but I've actually heard 3 or 4 different versions of that story since I've been up here on that too. But that's a different town.
The word was a 3-syllable word that the entity or the dogman or whatever had said, and it sounded like Gadara. And that's
okay. I understand exactly what you're saying. We heard today, Gudero. And you know, I we're on the road, and I have, you know, you can ask Dave. I have all my reference books and everything. When I cross-reference names, and I've got like 5 or 6, you know, books where it's just deity names or demonic names or things like that. So I do want to go check that out. But as far as I know, Gadara was it not a place?
So it's called the Gadara incident, and that's because of the word that the dogman had uttered. And it's not the physical place was actually by Elkhorn and there in Wisconsin where you're at off Bray Road. And the 1936 incident came up, which is when I read, it was just like a paragraph that I had read about this incident. And only because it ties into the disappearances that you just previously talked about. And then of course I'm looking up General McCaslin and you know, Monica Reza and all that. And so that's where I had come across that. And so it's very interesting that you had pointed that out this evening and brought that up. It's man, dude.
That's what I do, man. That's what I do. I'm convinced all this. I know Gadara is also a biblical. It's also a Hebrew word for either demon or an evil place.
Really?
Yeah. And like I said, I haven't Googled that. That's just something I had in my brain being stored from something else. But there's a lot of connections like this. I'll tell you something else, man. When, you know, the correlation of people disappearing, you know, I'm one of the people, Dave will probably tell you, I've got some original paperwork that was never released by anyone. I actually got from the family of Betty and Barney Hill. And my mom actually knew them. So
really?
He was actually the postman for both sets of my grandparents. They both knew him too. My mom actually watched him speak at church about his incident. And it's funny because my mom believes in aliens 100%, but doesn't think Bigfoot or the paranormal is real at all. So no, that's not real. That's stupid. But aliens are real. So, but it's just funny because I'm a MUFON guy myself. I'm a big UFO guy myself, and that comes up. There's a lot of cross-referencing when it comes to disappearances and things like this, especially when it comes to something that happens allegedly every 10 or 15 years. That's been going on since 1850, 1860. So it's just very interesting. But again, it's one of these situations where people are very, very adamant to throw their opinion at it, but there's a few of them that have these stories and they want to tell you. I must have handed out my card to 30 people. I'm sure if I go back, and you'll have to forgive me for not putting my video up. I'm on my laptop and this thing's barely holding together with the hotel Wi-Fi. So it's one of these things. But tomorrow when we go back, we're just going to videotape everything and just go. What's very interesting, though, is most of the area, they've had some historic floods out here. And most of the area where the creature has been seen is under 4 or 5 inches of water in the woods. So it almost looks like the entire area is a swamp. I mean, it is an entire. I mean, it is a swamp. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun. That'll be kind of cool.
Well, put your waders on.
Oh man, I'm going. Screw that. I'm going in. I got my boots. I'm an old country boy from Maine. We're going in with our boots.
What's the purpose of being there?
This is just, we, believe it or not, about 3 months ago, after I did your show, I got an email and someone said, what happened with Bray Road? Because I used to do a lot of research on the Bray Road. I was a huge Linda Godfrey fan. And a friend of mine, Chris Cyrus, who used to do the Venomous Fringe, he was actually very friendly with her. And 2 weeks before she died, I was supposed to do an interview with her, like we were all going to be on the same. So I always kind of had a little special place for that. And it's just one of those stories. I remember hearing about it. I love my better half, and I love watching the cheesy werewolf movies. And one of my favorite cheesy werewolf movies, The Beast of Bray Road. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's just one of these things. It's a great movie because it's so bad. It's one of those. And I love those. But it's just always been a point of interest for me. And then when you started hearing more about the 1930s and 34 incident, which I'm going to talk about later. I don't have all that. I can't even prove that's real. That's the other thing. I wanted to do some fact checking, and I know that's like, especially when you're in a place where people have never left here and they know everything about the place, or what year this happened and what year that happened. So it's just something we always wanted to do, and we had the opportunity, so we jumped on it and we came here. And tomorrow night we decide, tomorrow night's the good night. We're boots on the ground all night till something happens when we get thrown out.
It sounds like a lot of fun. And you mentioned earlier, as we got about 3 minutes to go, Christian, that there is a lot of people in that area who just don't buy it. They're just not into the story.
We talked to several people today, and like, these people are beautiful. They're wonderful people, but they'll just look at you, point in the eye. No, that's a legend from the 80s. I get now. I'm not saying I heard anyone say this. I get the feeling that they think the incident was completely exaggerated and or blown up and or made up. I talked to a few people today. They don't think that anything ever happened. They think that Linda Moulton Howe was just bored. And I could see that. We're actually in the process of trying to find the gentleman that used to be basically the animal control officer, a guy named John Fredrickson, with Linda Moulton Howe's time. So that's on the list to do tomorrow. Hopefully we can find him if he's still alive. I mean, we don't know. So we've got plans to go talk to some city people tomorrow. But I would love to connect with him, because apparently this guy was just so honest about it. He just handed Linda the werewolf file that was 4 or 5 inches wide and said, "There you go, knock yourself out." And that's how the whole thing started. So there are hundreds of reports, I would guess, that have never been reported. And if they were reported, they were not very much dug into, if you will. I think there's a lot more out there, and that's what we're trying to find out right now. And I think it's been a good, sometimes it's good to just walk away from something for a while, and and the truth tends to bubble up a little quicker. If this was a real hot topic or there's something going on right now, it'd be a little different. But so far, everyone we've talked to have been incredibly nice. No one has told us to get the hell out, and that happens. Yeah, people are being a little cagey because they don't want, a camera stuck in their face or something like that. But I think it's one of these things where if we're going to find anything, this is definitely the place that people are honest. But if you give them anonymity, I think we're going to get some more information. Like I said, tomorrow's going to be the big day, big night. And then we're going over to Minnesota to look at some Dogman reports up there from here. So we've been very busy, very Dogman, pro Dogman summer, if you will. Procenocephaly summer.
Well, that's always fun. Well,
it makes for a good show. Everyone likes Dogman. Everyone says he's the new Bigfoot, but Bigfoot, he's still the man. With Dogman, he's second. He's up there.
I never want to run into one.
I'll tell you what. From some of the descriptions, there's a gentleman. I don't know his name, but is actually this guy's got to have the greatest sense of humor. I almost left my card on the statue he has in his front lawn. On the front lawn of his house, he's got an 8 or 9 foot statue of a dog man. And it's just like, and the house is gorgeous. Like I can't believe his wife let him do that. Or maybe he's probably doesn't have why. I'm just kidding. But there's this huge statue of a dog man.
We're going to break. We got Grant. We got Christian. We've got the UFO report coming up next. This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
He's flashing. Would you let me put that in the front lawn?
All right, we're clear. Excuse me.
Good, my man.
Once again, I believe I gotta sign off here right after. I don't know if I'm doing Walter tonight or not. I think I am.
Hey man, you did a heck of a job that was awesome, dude.
I do my best.
Well, I mean, I know you try, but there's some people that actually do stuff, and every once in a while you make it happen. I was very surprised.
Well,
you should have heard him, man. He sounded like he knew what he was talking about.
That's all lies. That's all lies right there.
I don't know. What did you say? Immortality, or what was the other one?
You were talking about immortals.
Immortals. Yeah, that came out of nowhere too. That was just kind of out of nowhere, but that was a cool topic.
It was a cool topic.
We should do that.
Cool one
on this show. When was the last time you did that on this show?
Rarely. Hard to find somebody to actually talk about immortals, man.
Well, I mean, where do you? It's not like you're gonna get all these Highlander people, and that's it. We'll call it Highlander.
Oh gosh, Highlander.
Yeah. And when that movie comes back out, they're remaking. I don't know if you saw that. Henry Cavill's making it. He's new. He's the new guy. And they have Dave Bautista as a bad guy. So, and Russell Crowe's in it. So Lord knows how that's going to be.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Just got to find the Philosopher's Stone, man.
That's it. Get to Terran the Nog. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
All you got to do.
We got about 3 minutes.
How's the family, bro?
Good, man. Good.
Good.
It's getting warm up here.
Really? You breaking 30?
No, man. We were at about 68 degrees today.
That's not bad, man. It was 45 in Elkhorn.
45 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
That's cold.
Christina was loving it. Loving it.
Let's see. Currently 43 degrees where I'm at. It was 59 today. I was wearing a t-shirt over at the yacht club.
There you go.
And I'm at 4,500 feet.
Working on your tan.
Working on trying to walk. That's
I understand.
Yeah, everybody was surprised to see me. I showed up with a cane, and they're like, "Holy mackerel!" I even drove the lowrider out. I was like, "I'm gonna have some fun today."
That's good, man. How you doing better with that, or?
Oh yeah, no. It's just, all it takes is time. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, not that I had the same. I had a knee titanium put in my knee.
No,
it took about a year. Honestly, I don't care what they tell you. It takes at least a year for that to be back to normal.
I wish I would have broken the ankle instead of tore up all the ligaments. Like I just said that today. I was like, dude, had I just broke it, I'd already be walking. But the soft tissue, man, healing that stuff up is ridiculous.
No, that's the painful part.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. I went to PD today, and that lady, she put the hurting on me.
Yeah, that's the worst part. They did. You think they're going to break it again? Like, no, you got to do this.
Oh gosh. And this lady, man, she's about retiring age, and she's the strongest gal I've ever met. I mean, she'll grab my foot and just start talking about whatever have you, her dogs and her house and whatever. And here I am barely listening because it's excruciating. It's like, lady, and it doesn't even look like she's doing much. She's just plain face, not grunting or anything, and just putting elbows in. And oh boy.
She's broken many a man, my friend. Many a man
yes.
have been broken on that table.
Oh yeah, many tears have been shed.
Please don't tell her when you saw me act like this.
Oh, I walked in there and she about had a cow though. She's like, "You're not supposed to be doing that." And I'm like, I have to be walking before Father's Day, and I need to be riding my motorcycle in July. So yes, I'm gonna force myself to walk. It is what it is.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys, hold on right there. Thank you tonight to Kitty Caddywhack, Dutch Hank, Area 54, T-Bone ×2, JSCO, Jennifer, Ninja, and Blue Cruise. Thank you for the love tonight. We greatly appreciate it. And we're coming back in like 10 seconds. 5 seconds. 3. Final half hour of the UFO report with Grant Baker. We got to get to that yet because we really haven't started the UFO report. My name is Dave Scott. Christian McLeod is here from ACAPS and MUFON. We're glad to have both here. Grant, want to get into a little bit of UFO talk right now because, and I know Christian can hang out with us and do this too because he almost knows what we're talking about. And that really is about Representative Eric Burleson saying videos are going to be released. The 46 videos are coming, including one of an imaginary or imagery of a metallic silver orb that immediately accelerates and defies normal propulsion or physics that we know of. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Mosul orb, which I'm sure most people remember. It's very interesting that he's getting into this because he's kind of the way I've always looked at him when it came to Burleson. It's funny because he's right there with Burchett and Luna and trying to push the narrative, but he's always been critical of the subjects as well. And in fact, he said a few things within, the latest reports that I'm reading on his, how he's vocalizing his thought process on this. And it would be very interesting if we do get these. I know that what I've heard down the grapevine, especially coming from the Pentagon, that these things, oh no, we don't have them. We don't know what you're talking about. And of course, the deadline came and went, and nothing showed up. It's another nothing burger at that point, but they're still pushing. And when it comes to Burleson, he's all about the 5 observables. And if he says it, I'm waiting to see if it's going to happen. To be honest with you, I'd really be interested in seeing that metallic silver orb, quote unquote, which is exactly how I said it, and seeing what it looks like. I want to see if they have it, the telemetry, or at least just the imagery that they have on this. And according to a few people that are out there that are talking about this, some of these photos that we're getting are first class, and it would be very interesting to be able to get a hold of those and show them to our viewers and our listeners and say, hey, this is what we got, and dissect it at that point forward.
Christian, what do you think about these potential UFO videos that are going to come out?
Well, I'm going to have to agree with my esteemed colleague here. It would be great. I love the whole lot of nothing burger. But when you and I discussed about this with Robin a couple months ago, it was before the deadline, and we all had the same conclusion. They're not going to release anything. It's not going to happen. And I have to ask myself, if you think this guy's just talking out of both ends of his mouth, you think he's doing that just to cover bases because he doesn't know what's going to happen yet? Or is he just going to be one of these guys that said, hey, look, I didn't say this, I didn't say that. I mean, do you really think we're going to see anything? You would know better than I, but I will say this. This particular subject with the missing scientists and all these things, my friends, in our world, it's normal. I think we can all agree on this. This is normal stuff for us, right? But for the normies out there, the people that don't do what we do or don't discuss the things we do, this topic has become huge. My little sister, who is completely just boring, I'm just going to say, is fascinated by this topic. And she's not alone. Like all her little, she's in women's groups and things like that. They're all talking about this. So this topic is just, it's cresting. And it's going to be one of these things where I think answers going to have to come out, but I don't know if we'll get the truth or not. But I was blown away by how many of the quote unquote, again, nothing derogatory, but normal people were fascinated by this topic.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, when Burleson demanded the release of the silver orb, like, he's being very specific when it comes to that particular craft or whatever it is. It could be whatever it is. And he's essentially putting the Pentagon in a corner, and they're demanding this. What I really thought was interesting, I have it written down here. I had a little 3x5 that I wrote it down on, but he's pushing for the release as well as everybody else. And here's where it gets interesting. If he said, if these aren't aliens, they represent a massive failure of oversight, either secret U.S. programs funded by black budgets or that Congress doesn't know about, or extreme technological leaps by adversaries like China or Russia or anybody else. And, it's a scary thought process once you go down that road. And we look at, hindsight when it comes to something like this, especially with everybody that's been coming out, Burchett talking on the radio and everything that's been happening the last couple of months. You got to think of it like this. If these craft are owned and operated by a certain race of people, let's say, whether they're here and always been here or they're from a different planet or a different dimension, and they have this kind of technology, they have the ability to do whatever they want. They've demonstrated this time and time again, turning on and off nuclear sites and so forth. But if one of our adversaries had it, or even if we had it, who's going to use it first? And if someone like China had it, or even Russia at this point, they're going to use this kind of stuff in a war type situation, or maybe they're just messing with our ships out in the ocean, which we've seen before. So realistically, you only got a couple angles here. You either have a massive failure in oversight, where we have all this money that the American people have put in, and it's just being black budgeted out to all these programs, and we have no idea where our money's going. Or you have adversaries that are doing this and just kind of playing with us at this point. So if we ever got in a war, then the guns would really come out. And then it's either that or it's alien technology. So which one is it?
Well, I mean, I'm with you. If you've ever read, and I'm sure you have, one of my favorite books on this topic, and this is The Day After Roswell by Carl Corso. I love it. But I don't have it in front of me, I think it's the last paragraph on page 262. You literally just said exactly, he summed it up. He said, the reason why we've had to deal with these creatures and entities is because we're not on the same playing field. They can pretty much do whatever they want, and we just had to stand by and let it happen because we can't defend ourselves. And he has said, that is something that stuck with me over the years. I mean, that book, I believe, came out in the mid-90s, maybe late 90s. And it's just one of those things where it blows me away that people don't think more like that. But everything that's transpired technology-wise, he talks about how that happened in the book. I mean, that to me is the quintessential book for all this. And it goes along with Hynek and the way he said towards the end of Hynek's life, I love J. Allen Hynek. I know Dave kind of reminds me of him. The first time I met Dave, I remember thinking, damn, he's a younger Hynek. He's got that same. That's before the beard came. That was when, and I had to wait in line to meet him. It was embarrassing, but it's true. Don't start with me. I can prove it. And it's just, but he's one of those things but I mean, I think between the Hynek and Corso, that we have the truth. Corso points it out. He shows you who got what, how he was involved. You can't fake the pictures. You can't fake his background. But it's one of these things where no one wanted to pay attention to it, and it was like, okay, whatever.
So this all ties into everything that's been going on recently as well. And I agree with what you're saying. But when we start seeing people like Major General Neil McCaslin, Monica Reza, a few other names that are coming up. And now here's the funny thing is they got 11 names. I got about 10 of them right now, half and half. They're either deceased or the other half are missing. And it's almost a perfect line down the middle. In fact, they have turned Monica Reza, into missing instead of being deceased. Because, she waved at her friends. They were 30 feet in front of her, and then all of a sudden she was gone. So this all ties together when we're looking at this subject. And it's because we're looking at this technology. And then all of a sudden the news, I don't care where you look. It's Fox, CNN, ABC, CBS. I don't care who you watch. Everybody's talking about these missing scientists. Well, once you start looking into what these people did, so it starts getting really interesting, because then you look at their background and what they were experts in. So like Nuno Lerero, however you say that person's name, Nuno, expert in fusion energy, which is theorized as a future limitless propulsion source. That particular person has been found deceased. Frank Maywald worked at an advanced senior and radar systems, which is often integrated and within aerospace technology or testing. That person's also gone. Then you have Amy Eskridge, who's an aerospace researcher, worked on non-traditional propulsion. If you start looking at the common threads within everybody that's been missing, it's propulsion, space-based, and energy. It's now you start seeing the common thread. And so if we're taking this technology and reverse engineering it from whatever we have picked up, go back to Grush when he says we have, debris and crash sites where we've gone and picked up this debris with biologics that were there. And this goes far back beyond that, all the way to Roswell. You start getting a pretty clear picture of what's going on here. And I don't think what we're dealing with is an adversary. I really hope that whoever's creating this stuff or flying it and we're getting some of it is not an adversary, because they are so far more advanced than we are. It would be nothing for them to just be like, okay, guys, quit messing with us, and just put their thumb down on us and be like, okay, stop.
I mean, that should be everyone's worry, because they are so far advanced. There's an analogy to try to explain how their propulsion system would work. Would try to get like a dog to understand how a nuclear reactor would work to the point where he can work on it. It's just not going to happen. And I'm a firm believer that these scientists, something's going wrong, and I think it all started. And this is just my opinion. I've been anxious to ask you. I was going to ask you this anyway. Do you believe that Malaysia flight that we lost, I don't know, it was 10, 12 years ago, did you ever hear about how many scientists were on that just vanished and disappeared? Because I think that's kind of when it all started. I think that's when the culling kind of started, if you get my drift. And I'll tell you something else. One of the things, and I like this guy, the way he had the idea to write his books was just brilliant, because he really didn't have to do anything except use other people's work. But David Paulides, even in some of his Missing 911 or Missing 411, he's correlated that he's got a lot of high intelligence scientists that have vanished in national parks. And to me, I don't believe in coincidence. So I think somehow it's all connected. And, eventually, because you do. How many times you hear the word propulsion when people disappeared? Or right. Micro this or nanobots or this, it's something, it's all this futuristic tech, and all these, these are the world's leaders and they're missing. So what the hell happened to them?
So the 20 employees that were on the Malaysia flight, which is Malaysia Air Flight 370.
Yeah.
There was 20 of them, and they were into semiconductors. And, you're talking about high tech stuff here. And it's very interesting that we're starting to see not only what's going on now, and I think there was a slip somewhere, and they're being a little bold in how things are happening, because once you start looking at this thread, it doesn't just start with McCaslin. It doesn't just start with Reza. It goes further back. And then once you follow that down the rabbit hole, you can start picking up on a lot of common threads, especially with the semiconductor, the 20 scientists that were on the Malaysia flight. But you can even go further back from that.
Well, yeah, you can take this all the way back to the original Octopus, where that reporter who was following things in D.C. when they basically turned on their version of the internet, whatever they were calling it back then. How many? Oh, I'm sorry, what was that? ARPANET? Yeah. ARPANET. You can trace it all the way back there because it's the same MO. These people disappear, and they're the leading, most advanced, most knowledgeable people in their field for technology we need.
And just like you were saying, Freescale, that technology was primarily radar, missile guidance, and electronic warfare. Yeah. And this is what we're seeing as a common thread. You have people that are coming out of that we're seeing these lists of scientists. They're all over the news now, and you can simply anybody can look it up. You can use Google, like even Google at this point. I mean, I don't trust it as far as I can throw it, but at the same time, it has to admit, like, okay, there is a thread of thought here that links every single one of these scientists together. Not only has all the major news media, including us, we picked it up before Fox did. Dave started talking about this before CNN did.
Well, that's Dave. I mean, come on.
Well, he's a really awesome guy, and he has the best beard, and he gives awesome hugs just for anybody that wants to know.
Oh, he smells really good too. He smells like French fries and beer all the time.
I'm a nice smell.
Yeah, I was gonna say candy canes.
I don't get that close, but yeah, but you get, because this is stuff that, like, I honestly think out of all the stuff that's being blocked, or people are being threatened, don't talk about this one. This is, to me, this is one of the biggest ones, simply because it's all tied together. So you pull on this string hard enough, it's going to bring you to something else. But it all comes back to cover up. Who's authorizing it? How it's paid for? And you're right. These black budgets. You're telling me how many trillions of dollars over the decades or since Roswell we've funded into these things or these projects, and we're getting results. I mean, we went from a P-41 Mustang Hellcat that flies at 400 miles an hour to Chuck Yeager doing Mach 2 in 8 years?
Yeah, and then the SR-71 doing 2,500 miles an hour like it's nothing. But you also got to think about this. So they've gotten to the point. Let me say this just as a frame of reference. If I went out and did something bad to somebody, and I was hired to go do this and take one of these guys and silence them, in whatever way, shape, or form that happens. Okay, I'm not trying to say this is all hypothetical. I would be caught within a matter of either hours or days. These people this is happening to, the people that are doing this to them, are not even on the radar. They're not on the scope. We're not hearing any leads. There's only been one person who unalived himself on camera because he took his wife out, and the girl that from a different base that was also in the same type of technology, looking at aerospace stuff. And that's the only person they've been able to find. They don't know about anybody else. They got a lead on the one that got taken out on his front porch. But it's like, dude, and that guy was crazy, so to speak. They're not, too many people are missing. Too many people are coming up, not alive anymore. And nobody's there to point the finger at. And
see,
so
I'll go this far with you. If you, me, or Dave were to do something, even like if we tried pulling off a cool heist, and we even got to the part where we could execute it, before we even got anything done, we'd be arrested. I mean,
that's true.
There's nothing you can do. I talk to Christine, and I always say this. There's nothing you can do these days in the crime world without being caught. There's too many ways that you can't do anything.
Well,
so
look at it this way.
Why bother?
Your phone. So the other day, simply talking about a baby toy or something that my wife was thinking about getting. And literally an hour later, I jump on Facebook and I'm getting ads for that toy. Your phone is always listening. You don't need an Amazon or Alexa or a Nest or whatever the heck it is that's in your home, or your TV that people think is listening to you. The phone that's in people's hands are doing exactly that. You cannot say the key words that red flag you with all the 3-letter agencies enough times around your phone. They're going to come to your door. I mean, you are always being monitored. The only way anybody would be able to pull this off is to just not have a phone, meet in person, do it like the old days, old West.
No, I'm with you, because the technology is gonna, it's gonna get you. I mean, people are getting off for murder cases because their phone pinged over here, their phone pinged over there. Is that a good thing? Yeah, if you're the one going to jail. But if you think about the surveillance and the fusion centers that keep everything, you have there is no privacy.
No.
I mean, those days are long gone.
And on top of that, it's been known that anybody that talks about this, including Dave has caught these people, the 3-letter agencies, and the streaming side of the show in the chats. And he's known it, he's seen it, and he's clued everybody in on it, and he's not afraid to blow the whistle on that. And it's just, what's going on here is definitely, it's mysterious to people that don't know what's going on, including myself. But the one thing that's really glaring, or a couple of things that's really glaring, is the string that attaches everybody, which is usually within aerospace or propulsion or even life on other planets, people that are into astrophysics. And B, they're being hushed in ways that we can't point the finger at anybody. So of course, everybody's going to go viral on, oh, it's the CIA, oh, it's the FBI, oh, it's the dark, black budget programs, oh, it's this person, it's that. When you have McCaslin, who still hasn't been found yet, that just walked out of his home, and they did a search with dogs and everything. Dude, you look at Mythbusters. They hid a mile away from a dog, or however far, and went across streams and everything, trying to hide from this dog. They found him. Quick. McCaslin, gone. Reza, gone. There's 5 people that are missing, 5 or 6 people that are not with us anymore, and they still can't explain it. That does not make a bit of sense to me.
Well, it's not only, and I agree 150% with you, and I know Dave does too, but it's not just that. They're expecting the entire populace to choke this down and say, oh no, it just happened. It's just one of these fluke things. It just happened. It's, what, that might have worked with 1 or 2. That might have worked back with the old Forstall days when they were doing Blue Book and he falls out of the window, after this. I mean, and that was even all staged. But you can't do that anymore, man. People aren't stupid. The problem is we have absolutely no recourse. There's a damn thing we can do about it. And if you get close to doing something like it, you're going to get slapped down so hard if you're lucky, or you're going to vanish. So that's the big problem.
Gents, I'm going to take over from here because we do have to wrap it up. Christian McLeod, thank you for joining Grant and I on the UFO Report. Stay safe.
Thank you for having me, Grant. I'd love to talk to you later, brother.
And Grant, thank you again. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright Spaced Out Radio at Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody.
Bro, we should have had a whole nother hour because I have so much more to say about this.
Hey, I would, dude. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm just the common thread when you finally start piecing it all together. There's 4 basic common threads, and they all tie to everybody. You have NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratories, JPL. You have Los Alamos National Laboratories, and that's where Chavez and Cassius were based. You have AFRL, which is where McCaslin and also Reyes were at the same time. He was head of it and or running the money through it, and then she was a part of that. And that was a propulsion laboratory where she came up with the metal called Mandalloy, which is that weird metal that they came out with. They could like get really hot and not melt, basically, and it was for reasonable.
Each other metal.
No, Mandalloy was that metal.
I got to wrap it up. I got to go on WABC.
Hey man, good luck, brother.
Have a
Hey,
night.
listen, if it's all right with you, I'm gonna get your contact information from Dave. I'd love to talk to you, brother.
Yep, do it.
All right, Dave, you hear that? Dave, good luck, man. Proud of you.
All right, sounds good.
Bye, bud.
All right.
God bless.
All right. Tomorrow night on the show, who's on? Chris Rutkowski, Canadian UFOs, and the Canadian UFO story. What's happening there? You can all go over to WABC 77 in New York. I'm going to be on with Walter M. Sterling for the next, 5 minutes to 35 minutes. I have no idea how long he's going to keep me. But we will see you all then, everybody. Have a good night. Take care. Where's that exit button? Here it is.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.